Well, we are back, huh? We're back at the 9 Club, everybody. Today, we have a very special. Oh,
I thought you were going to do one.
It's Matt Price on the show, everybody. This is what happens when you interrupt.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good, bro. That's it.
I thought maybe I was going to get a special, like just one. Just that's it. The lowest amount
Well, you
of special.
got 2. How about that?
Sorry.
You did.
You're the first one to get 2, I think.
That's true.
You can keep talking.
7 years. 2. Matt Price, it is. I think I'm just going to. The whole intro's changed because you've been on the show. Okay, it's all changed. No, but dude, how are you, dude? Thanks so much for. You want me to do it again? You want the 3? Special.
No, you could just. I want you to say, today we just have a guest called Matt.
Oh.
Would that be my intro?
Called Matt.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do? Some like Lex Friedman? Like today's show, we have a acclaimed photographer on the show, Matt Price. He has shot a lot of photos from the Skateboard Mag. He's worked with very accomplished photographers like Atiba Jefferson.
Thank you.
Today we'll be discussing a lot about photography and his rise to fame in the skateboarding industry. Please enjoy this episode of Matt Price.
That does sound like Lex Friedman.
That's what he does.
That was good.
It was, maybe like we could try like an in the actor's studio, James.
You want me to do another one now?
Maybe, I don't know. Like, no.
We very demanding guest.
Yeah.
Very demanding.
I like this.
I'm sorry.
I think that was a good intro, though, because I want to say at the very start of this show, and I don't want to just gas you up right away, but you are an amazing photographer. I mean, just looking at the most recent shot of the Closer magazine with Louie Lopez it's the trash can shot, and it did kind of go viral. It went viral. It was on ESPN, and people were reposting it.
It was as close to like real life viral, I think, as a skate thing I've been involved with can get. Because skating, there's like skating viral, and then there's like world for the earth viral. Mm-hmm. And I think it was like, for me, it was definitely the most widely shared thing. I was tripping on the fact that people liked it. And, I was like, there's a few things at play here. There's like, shapes. There's like a circle. There's symmetry. There's like timing. There's a few things, because that's like when stuff from skating goes outside of skating, I think it has to have check a few boxes, and you're like, that checked the boxes. It was a good learning moment. You're like, this is, and then the stick obviously was like, stupid.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Well, I'm actually surprised that has never been done before, because it seems very, very basic. No offense, but it seems like a very basic shot.
Yeah.
I mean, you just put it in the. For anybody listening, it was a shot the camera was placed on the bottom of a trash can, looking up, and Louie Lopez kickflip.
Yeah, switch backside flip.
Switch backside flip over it, and it was caught perfectly. I mean, you're right. The symmetry on there is crazy.
Wait. I'm sorry. That was a switch backside flip?
Yeah. So, like, it's a weird frame, right? He did it kind of crazy. He caught it and then turned it late.
Yeah.
So the frame... So what's crazy about the frame, if you saw it from another angle, his board's actually super rocket at that point, because it's still really early in the switch backside flip. Mm-hmm. But because I was straight underneath, it's a total, like...
You can't tell at all.
You can't really figure, which was why Chris thought it was a kickflip. That was like a very like mom move of him. You'd be like, the board's flipping. You're like, it was like a kickflip, right? And you're like, well, the board's upside down.
I am so glad that I only did 2 specials for this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not regretting that at all.
Did you go there to shoot a photo just like that, or was that just randomly?
No, we were just there. It was a SKF, the bearing company. We were shooting. The whole team was there. It was like I was shooting Beatrice over the trash can first, and then Louis started skating it. Ashad was skating it. Alexis. It was a lot of people skating it at once. And like I've shot at that spot a lot of times. Obviously, it's been skated for almost 30 years or something, right? Like, so it's been shot a million times. And I think after shooting like the 6th photo over it that day, it was just kind of like, let's like play around with something. And then Louis tried one switch backside flip, and I was like, let's put the camera in there. And then it was figuring out how to push the button. And then it was like, we can't, like the remote didn't work. So it was like, we could either cut a hole, which we don't have anything to cut a hole with, which would have been stupid too, way too over the top. And then Casper, who was there, I was like, Casper, can you find me like a stick, like a little? And he found me the stick, and it fit perfect. And something about it just kind of like, and then 2 tries later, I think was that try. And
that's what I was gonna say. How long did it take to get that shot?
Two tries with the stick, and then that was the make. That's the actual one he landed.
Raj, is there like a Google image you could do? I mean, I know you're trying to look for YouTube right now, but is there like a Google image?
Yeah. I also have a whole sequence of that exact try with that frame in it, which maybe I'll share it with you guys. We could premiere it.
So
That would be amazing.
Yeah, it would have been harder without the sequence was easier to get,
for
obviously.
sure. Like my camera shoots like 8 frames per second, so
Okay.
like it was still like not a sure thing. I know like some people have these newer cameras that shoot like 20 and even 30 frames per second.
Oh, that would have been a lot easier.
You're chilling. Like Atiba
Yeah.
shoots sequences that are like 30 frames a second with he has like the newest Canon gear. He's an ambassador, so he gets the good shit,
should,
you know.
yeah.
Oh, he's an
And
ambassador.
so he gets laced with, you know, the new cameras right away.
Right.
But so if I had those, you're guaranteed to get that frame probably. If you have 20 or 30, we just got lucky because we had 8.
It is an amazing shot. It's so
Perfect.
good.
And
Absolutely
I think
perfect.
the only reason it happened is because there was absolutely no pressure. It's like, that's not a crazy trick for Louie. No. We were there on a session where everyone was skating it. A shot had just nollie backside flipped it like, you know, 5 minutes before that. And it was like, you know, all the sorts of cool skating was happening. It was fun. So it was just kind of like in the mix of, oh, let's just try some weird shit and whatever, you know, happens. And then that's how you get the best photos.
Do you know how many times I've skated a trash bin over, you know, something and my board falls into the trash bin?
All the time.
Were you thinking about that too? Like, oh my God, if he misses something or kicks it away and that board falls, my camera's gone.
Not with Louie. I think
Yeah,
I was confident he was going to make it over the. I didn't know he would land it every try, but trust me, if I was skating over the trash can too, that would be my fear.
Right.
But it's like
right.
he gets, you know.
Or if I was skating, you'd be like, dude, Robert, this is not. I'm gonna take
No,
we'll save the shot for somebody else.
No. I would take the risk with you two.
Okay.
Chris. I
God
would.
bless
And
you.
anyone in this room, I
would've
would
just
take
done
the
an
risk
ollie.
with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we appreciate that.
But
No,
yeah,
it's a great photo. Congrats on that. And it was
you.
on Jamie Owens' magazine, which everybody's got to check out. Closure, whatever you want to call it, same thing. It's such a good mag. Such a good
great.
mag. It's if you, especially to like a, you know, I don't want to say old school dubs. No, just
You can, but I mean, he's staying modern age with
we
what
could
he's
say
doing now.
it's multi-generational.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think is a good way to put it. It's got
good.
something for everybody a little
Yeah.
bit, and it's printed beautifully. It's on really nice paper.
Definitely.
You know, and I think that it's nice. It's nice to see a magazine out there that wants, you know, like, oh, like Jamie didn't care that like is a switch backside flip over the can at USC like cover worthy photo. If you just read that as a sentence, like, of course not. Like that's not, you know, in the scheme of skate mags, that's not something you'd put on the cover. But when the right photo comes along, or if you feel that it's like, you know, oh, this is cool and interesting.
Yeah.
And I like that. That's how Jamie's kind of running the magazine. It's definitely it's a fun like break from, you know, skating. Like Thrasher covers are Thrasher covers, and they're amazing and they're fucking gnarly, and that's what they're supposed to be. But it's like it's okay for there to be another outlet for some, like, you know, maybe it's not gnarly, maybe it's just weird.
I could have seen
I
this.
agree.
I could have seen this on the Skateboard Mag cover.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
Yeah.
they were more about the beautiful simplistic of skateboarding.
Yeah.
You
Well, the
know?
first cover was like that silhouette photo of Danny Way, like trying to get his board off that rail. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Playback
yeah.
shot
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Which when I was young, I didn't really understand why that was the cover as much. I thought it looked cool, but now I'm like, it's kind of hilarious, really. Like he's got a giant stick to get his board stuck off or unstuck off this giant, you know, rainbow rail. It's kind of just absurd.
Yeah.
And I think they saw, they're like, oh, that's an absurd photo. Let's put it on the cover. It's like,
It's gonna work.
yeah.
But it's so good though, because I mean, it definitely does tell a story also, and that was a monumental part of skateboarding. Was this
sure.
Danny Way doing the mega ramp stuff?
For sure. I mean, it was at the time, it was just like some shit no one would ever say. That was kind of, to me, the end of trick progression. I don't want to say the end, it can progress forever, but the end of like skate media kind of being so focused on trick progression, where it's like he took it as far as it could go. Like, how are you going to go further? He can like
Right.
back 270 lip the banana rail, you know, over like a 80-foot gap, and you're like, okay. So where do we go now? And that's why I think that was the moment probably skating started to be like, well, let's just see who can like make a backsmith look nice, or like, you know, like it kind of went in the other direction. And
Yep.
now there's all types, you know.
Well, you got Bob Burnquist though. That's pushing the limits
for
as
sure.
well.
Is he still doing that?
I'm sure he had one in his backyard. He had a loop with the thing and
I
missing
feel,
from the
I feel like I haven't seen enough mega skating
Yeah.
recently. In the last few years, I haven't seen
good
a
because I
ton.
think that I think it kind of needs to go. It loses its luster if you see it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to just see I just want to see it sprinkled, and I want to see the dope shit.
Well, Elliot Sloan, he's got
That's
his
true.
rant.
Elliot Sloan
It's
is
a
the
mini
last,
mega
yeah.
though.
But still, that's
I understand.
But you
Yeah.
see that
Closest thing, though, for sure.
You see that all the time.
I'm just saying it kind of had a moment, and I think it'll have another moment, which is sick. Like I want to see more mega manuals. Like Danny Way had some manuals, but like
I'm your guy.
that's the exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you could take the the switch flip Manny to something,
We'll try something new.
slightly
but,
start on the mini
dropping
mega.
in switch on that thing. Could you imagine?
Well, it's a bank. It's not like a
stop
proper
with
drop
it.
in.
It's
You'll
a
be
bank.
fine.
That thing's massive.
Those
Dude, have you ever
manuals
skated one?
I've been the only one that I've ever looked down on was Elliot Sloan's, and it is terrifying.
Oh, it's nuts.
It's
The roll-in
terrifying, and this
is
is a
like-
mini.
They're
Yes.
nuts,
the real one is insane.
Oh, it's
It's very
Even the one
scary.
at Woodward. We went to Woodward, PA recently. Did you go up to the?
I did, yeah.
that's full
It's
size,
terrible.
right?
No, it's even smaller than Elliot
I was
Sloan's.
scared to do it halfway on the one that was at Woodward.
Oh, I
Bro.
wouldn't.
Yeah, like I didn't go all the way. I was like, no, dude, I'm gonna start right here.
Because
right
Sure.
here.
Oh, I didn't like. So when Bob first was building his, my friend Ben Karpinski, who shoots for Thrasher, his brother Danny is a vert skater, and I was friends with them. And Danny skated with Bob sometimes, and he was like, "Hey, we're gonna go to Bob's today and go check out his new ramp, and we'll shoot photos on his vert ramp." And I was like, "Sick." We went. Bob wasn't there. No one was there. They just like let us on the property, and they had the mega built, but it hadn't been covered in like skate light or whatever. And we were rolling in from like a quarter of the landing ramp, and I want to say it was 10 feet up, because at 10 feet up, the quarter pipe is still like this. Like it's not even remotely like vertical. I did a kickflip fakie, but what felt like so high up on the thing, and I was a third of the way up, and it was still like so mellow.
Yeah.
And we were just like skating at like a bank like that, because it felt crazy, and it was just solid plywood, and it was like, but standing under it like made me think of like surfing giant waves. Like I was just looking up like, oh my god.
Oh, like if I was in a 20-foot wave, like
Yes.
this is what it would be like.
Exactly.
Going off the peak of that.
And it's
thing.
coming down on, because that's what it just felt so like otherworldly or whatever the fuck. You just to be under that thing, you're like, oh my god, this is, how could you be up higher than that? Like they go higher than the top of this.
the structure.
I always
Yeah.
say, watching vert and mega, you have to. Watching it live is not like anything you've ever experienced
Next
in
level.
skateboarding.
Yeah.
Even just regular vert. You
For
watch
sure.
that shit live,
Yeah.
you're like, damn, these people are flying around doing this crazy shit.
Certain things in skating, vert, pool skating,
Yes.
bombing hills, when you get to see them in person, it's like you could have gone your whole life not caring about that type of skating, and you watch it one time and you're just like a changed person. You're like, holy shit. Like watching someone bomb a gnarly hill and get like speed wobble and not die. You realize how
So
slow you skate.
Changes
and
your
you're like-
life.
Or like someone grind a pool. Like I've seen like, someone get to a new pool and just like roll in and like do crazy, just like grind every wall first try somehow. And you're like, that's like not a mini ramp. It's like not built for skating. It's like lumpy and chunky and weird. And it doesn't translate well, I think, to video and to photo as much.
I agree.
But like every pool is unique. And so it's like, there's a lot of respect for that type of skating. It doesn't kind of get the love it should on like a,
Not
I
at
guess
all.
it does maybe, but I think seeing it in person, everyone should see it once.
I think you nailed it. I think it's vert, mega, bombing hills, and pool.
Yeah.
I think
yeah,
those are the four that's like if you haven't seen any of those in person, like you need to go, like
for
you
sure.
need to go watch those.
That's someone that like really knows how to skate these things.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you shoot photos? Did you ever shoot photos of vert stuff at all?
I mean, I have just a few times. Like I
Yeah.
shot Danny. Danny was the first person I ever shot skating vert, Danny Karpinski. And I was
Okay.
super hyped because, again, you're just like, oh, vert photos, this is sick. And then since then, I've shot with like Rayborn and like Kevin Kowalski and some people on vert. But I think I've probably only shot vert like 5 to 10 times ever. It's just not really wrong era, you know?
Pause podcast.
Okay.
I need to tell you guys that this episode is brought to us by Athletic Greens.
Ooh, we love athletic greens.
We do.
This is gold in a box, right? Love this stuff. With one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and Kelly's favorite thing in the whole world, adaptogens.
I love
There it is.
adaptogens.
This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging.
Well, not only that,
Ooh, tell me, Drone.
contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good.
Nothing budget, only buttery, right?
Nothing budget, please.
Yeah.
But it also supports better sleep quality and recovery as well.
Tons of people take multivitamins, but it's important that you choose one with high quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb.
And it's also better when not to have a full medicine cabinet full of, supplements.
Oh, man.
You know,
Wait, so I can get rid of all my supplements?
Yeah, I was just over at Kelly's house the other day, opened the cup. I was hit with supplements.
Get the trash can.
Yeah.
Throw them in there.
To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is just visit athleticgreens.com/9club. That's NINECLUB. Again, athleticgreens.com/9club. Take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance today, which is Athletic Greens.
Take over your health now.
I had this question because it's interesting, right? You skateboard photographer. I mean, we're going to, rails, we're going to stairs, we're going to ledges, manuals. Like, how does a photographer, how do you take something that's been shot 100,000 times and make it look different and impressive? You know what I mean? Like,
you get.
Oh, we're going to the same set of stairs that's been shot 100,000 times.
Sure.
Like, how am I going to make this?
Well, I think
a little bit more exciting.
There's a couple ways, right? One way is the skater is magical, right? Like you have a really amazing skater that can just make anything look cool. And that's like early for me, it's like Levi Brown. If Levi Brown does like a tray flip down something, it's going to look better than like 90% of the people tray flipping the same stairs. So you're like, thank God I'm here with him. He's going to like tray flips. It's going to look good. And then sometimes it's just like you get there. Back in the day, you weren't planning for this stuff. You just like, you happen to show up at 7 and it was a beautiful dusk with a nice sky. And you're like, oh, my photo looked good, Whereas if someone went there earlier than you at noon that day, shot the same trick, and it was like solid gray stairs, solid blue sky, just like kind of boring. A different guy, all these things. So I think like earlier on for me, it was just luck, and for a lot of photographers, it's just like, oh, this skater was right, the timing was right, whatever. And then from there, it's like, I think you just really have to you have to understand what the important part of the story is. Like you're telling a story, right? When you're shooting a photo, like as corny as that sounds, like, okay, what's the coolest part of the story? If someone has a crazy flick on their like backside flip, right? Like then you're like, I want to accentuate the flick. So I'm going to be fisheye on the backside of them, on the 4th stair, because then their foot's going to be really close to the lens, because that's the most exciting part of what's happening right now. And
if I could interject really quick, you are also known for like in your face, getting there close.
So I'm just copying Spike Jonze. That's just me just ripping off like people from the 90s. Like I started like shooting like that more in like probably like 7 or 8 years ago and really liked it. And then realized a few years later why I liked it. It's like kind of one of those incepted ideas where you're like, oh, I think I want to do this like different thing. And then a year later, you're like, that's not different. I just like all this other shit. So it's kind of just like taking from that. But that was an era where skating was small, like physically small. Like it was impactful and important. But since it was so small, you could get so close to someone's foot and still see the ledge. Still see the curb, the mani pad, whatever.
Prime example, we're looking at a photo right now of Cairo Foster's just skating a curb, red curb. This could have been a cover of Strength back in the day.
That's a tall curb, Chris. That's like a ledge.
By the way, I think that's the same spot where I nollie heeled over the barrier in
Eagle
Eagle Rock.
It is.
Really? Eagle Rock High out of the curb cut?
Out of the curb cut. Yeah. Richard Moto was there. It was
OG Eagle Rock.
Amazing.
That's very popular spot these days.
But this is a photo. Like this catches the essence. For me, it catches, I'm a fisheye fan. I don't long lens. It was cool when it was kind of like, I'm talking video now, when it was like VX, because it's square.
Sure.
Now it's like, I want to get this bush in there. I want to get this. Oh, the sun is over there. And now the skater's this big sometimes, know. And I like in your face. The foot's almost about to hit the camera. Like this is the type of shit I like, whether it's video or photo. 100%.
Sure. I mean, me too. So like I've said this before, and it's always in like it feels funny to say, but there's like a couple ways to shoot skating, and one of them is like to like try to convey energy or like tell this energy story versus like journalism, which is like there's a guy, he popped from here, he grinded a rail, he's right here in the photo, and then he went all the way down the rail and landed there, and we see the whole story, right? That's journalism. You're like, when you shoot like Jamie Foy and he front crooks like an 80 stair rail, like you kind of have to be a journalist, right? It's like no one's going to believe that it happened unless you show them the whole thing.
So true.
No one's worried about that when Cairo's kickflip backtailing the tall curb.
Sure.
So you can really focus on like where's the energy, what's the most interesting part of what's happening, and it's like, oh, it's his foot in your face, and like it's kind of a go-to. Like if you can put someone's foot into the lens, it's kind of like cheating. It's like a gimmick, like everyone's going to be like, that's a sick photo. I'm like, no, you just like the foot.
That's an interesting way to look at it. I never looked at it as telling a story, or opposed to
telling different story. You're always telling some sort of story. It's like telling a different story, and it's like, Yeah, the story about certain types of skating is nothing to do with like, because no one's worried about whether or not he did a kickflip back tail on that. That's not something
Did
that
he land it?
That's not news, right? Like no one's like waiting for the footage. He did do it, by the way. There is footage.
There is footage, yes.
But it's like no one's like worried about that. People are just. I like to shoot a skate photo just for the sake of a skate photo, and that's different than like when if I shoot with like Mason or Louie or like Jamie Foy or people that are like really progressing skateboarding into the next realm. They're doing fucked up shit. They're doing really unreal skateboarding. That's different, and that's why it's on a Thrasher cover. That's why it's in, that's where they put it, and I get that. The photos I like to shoot now are photos that, I'm like, hey, Louie, just can you do a pole jam for me on this? Or, you find something, back nose blunt this small ledge because I just like to shoot back nose blunts, and they look nice, and it's a whole different focus, and I think that's just what I've really enjoyed.
Have you ever gotten your camera messed up from getting that close?
In this shot, Cairo hit your camera.
He hit the lens, yeah. I think I get hit like almost at least once every time I shoot a fisheye photo.
Yeah.
But it's usually a foot. I try to avoid getting hit by a board. I have a few scratches from like boards and stuff, but I think for the most part, I'm trying not to get hit always.
Yeah.
But it just happens, and those fisheyes are strong though. Like I've broken one for sure. There's a
Look at that.
That's
a tray flip right there.
Yeah, I like that with the tail and the coming close to the lens.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Where's
Continue.
Oh, this one, the Golden Hour 1. The day there's a photo in there of Dane Brady doing a 1 foot where he's like, you can see a circle on the sole of his shoe where it's making contact with the lens. Mm-hmm. I have one of those Tadashi filters on though.
What is that? What is that? Explain what that is.
So Tadashi is a photographer who came up with basically a plastic bubble filter that goes over your fisheye.
Okay.
And it's kind of held on by like rubber bands, so it has a little bit of like shock, or something. It kind of bounces a little. So it doesn't sit right up against the lens. You have a little gap. So if someone hits it, like it can still hit your lens for sure, but it just stops scratches basically.
Oh, wow. So this is made for skateboarding.
Yeah. He makes them for like camera, makes them for what? Canon fisheye, or just like photo fisheyes, and he also makes them for the HPX, and he makes them for the VX.
Okay.
They're these they're like condoms, like a little condom for your fisheye.
Well, you got to shoot safe.
You got to shoot safe, exactly. And so I had one of those on, and when he first sent me a box, like he was like, "Oh, let me send you a few of these." My first thought was like, "I want everyone to kick the lens." So I was so excited. I could finally so I was with Dame Brady and Emile Laurent, and they were. I was like, just do 1 foots and kick the lens. Like for like an hour we did this, and they were then like Dane was kicking the shit out of the lens.
And it really protected it.
And it broke that day. Okay. But that wasn't because of Tadashi's design. It was because we were like, that's not
you were putting it to the test.
Yes,
you
that's
were doing
not
the
what
100 kickflip test.
Exactly. That was not what it was intended for. But it
foots.
We should do that. Get
Canon.
Tiba, get Canon to sponsor it.
Oh, there we go.
I forgot. Yeah, you used to do all those things. We did one together.
We did, yeah.
The tray flips.
You did, yeah. You did 100 tray flips.
Yeah.
God, I would hate to do the 100. I would never do that. I'm sorry.
He didn't miss a single one.
That's good.
I didn't. I look back. I was like, damn, I didn't miss one at all.
He didn't. That's
What?
very few.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a different
tired.
that's a different part of this story to talk about with the CCS stuff. But like that was pretty incredible. Only a few people ever did 100 kickflips in a row without missing one, and then Kelly did 100 tray flips.
We were looking into that, and we'll go back to it too, because I just kind of want to finish up right with this really quickly though. Kader has the most viewed. It was like 2 million or something like that
for sure.
His kickflips.
I am significantly more famous from that video than anything I've ever done.
That was the one.
When I was at
That was
Copenhagen last year, little 16-year-old kids.
Sure.
To me, that's little because I'm old now. They were like, they would see me or hear me even. I've heard these kids would hear my voice and they'd be like, "Hey, like, did you do 100 kickflips with Kader?" And I'm behind the camera and I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh my God, will you sign my board?" Oh, wow. And I'm like, that's the power that Kader has. Like proximity to Kader is like, oh, you're a big deal.
Damn.
I had this is really funny because I was with Jerry Sue and we were like, and obviously I'm a huge Jerry Sue fan, and we were sitting on this like grass hill at one of the events at Copenhagen, and a kid walks up to the two of us, a young kid, and he's like, "Hey, are you from the Kader 100 kickflips video?" And I was like, "Yes." And he's like, "Will you sign this?" And I was just like, "Fuck off."
I'm sitting next to Jerry Sue.
Exactly. And my instinct was to be like, "No, you don't want my autograph. Get his autograph." And then I thought, like, well, that might be worse right now because he might not know who Jerry is. Like, that would be a little awkward. So I signed it, and I was like, "Didn't Jerry?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "You see this shit? This is crazy." Like, again, to you, it's not crazy. To me, this is insane right now. Like, it was. But it is funny how those videos are kind of like, more you work your whole life to be really good at something, or you're like, I want to be a skate photographer, and you're like, oh, I did okay, and I was successful enough at it, and then in a couple months, it's all eclipsed by like, you're the guy from YouTube.
100 kickflips.
Mm-hmm. And you're like,
well, that's how I heard about you.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Going back to this photo really quickly, and this is interesting too because I wanted to have a discussion about flashes in the photos.
Controversial.
Yeah, how are we feeling about this? Because I kind of like them. It depends on the photo. Honestly, there was another photo in here, I believe. Oh man,
It might have been the Kader
over the
kickflip over the barrier. Where it was in there. Yeah.
But the photo was in between the flash was in between their legs. Was this in this piece too? Maybe I could find it.
Yeah. If it's the one I'm thinking of, I think it was in there. It was, but I don't know where it is in the piece, but it was a kickflip over the barrier at the Van Nuys courthouse.
No,
it's not the one you're talking about.
You were talking about this.
Oh, maybe that's what I was thinking.
I was talking about something else. But go ahead. How do you feel about this? Obviously, we were just looking at the photo.
Well, so and generally like Grant Brittain kind of invented the rules of skate photography, right?
Okay.
Like I think there were like some early skate photographers, Warren Bolster, Win Miller, people that really like pioneered skate, Glenn Friedman, of course, like that pioneered skate photography. But then Grant kind of came in and he refined everything and made it like really beautiful and kind of like set some real standards. So I think the general school of skate photography that every skate photographer in the world to some extent shoots is the Grant Brittain like school of skate photography.
What was his class on this?
Well, so he's had flashes in the frame for sure, but I think later on him and other people realized like, oh yeah, like the goal is to get the flash out of like if you're watching a movie, you're not going to see the studio light like in the frame, right? So it's like get the flashes out, which is hard sometimes to get certain lighting effects and whatnot. But I think Grant and Atiba probably also helped write that book as well, where it's like, oh yeah, like we keep the flashes out of the frame. So when I came up, that was a rule. Like if I posted on this skateboard photography forum called skateboardphotography.com,
which I want to talk about,
which we get there, and those guys would tear you to shreds if it even bled into the frame a tiny bit. You could tell there was a flash. You get roasted. It was like awful. So I think the reason I do this now is kind of like after years of being like terrified of like, oh fuck, the flash is in the frame, like now it's like, oh, there are no rules anymore, like who cares?
Sure.
In this photo in particular, I like how like the shadows from those little
rocks,
the rocks or whatever that is there, like that looks sick. Like I like that.
Maybe we could find the photo. It was in one of the video pieces that you did that was on YouTube. I don't think it's in this one actually. This followed. But yeah, I was just wondering because I think it just depends on the situation. But sometimes when I see it in the photo, obviously if it's out there, you shot this, it's out there. Like
sure.
It should. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, I mean,
I like it.
There's other photographers, amazing photographers currently, who will put flashes in the frame and then take them out in post, which I think is fine too. Like that. Like
really?
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care how you make a good image as long as it's a cool image. Like
double dipping.
Oh, I hate saying image, photo. But I think like as long as the end result is something that I think looks cool, like I'm down to be lied to if you lie well. Like if someone is like, when someone's like kissing
you don't feel duped.
Well, not if they do it well. If someone's kissing your ass, but they're doing it in like a really good way, I'm like, well, that's fine with me.
Well, here's the thing. It's like, okay, what about you see a sequence in a magazine?
I'm mad at
Who was it? There was a famous sequence, but obviously like somebody's in the background, somebody's not in the background.
Guy Mariano,
right?
Switch pop shit
Well, so that's just being sloppy because if you're gonna. I think if you're
Chris
gonna
Markovich's wheel left up on the thing.
Yes, that's just being so don't be sloppy. If you're sloppy, I think that's bad. But I think if you whatever you intend to do, like if you intend to leave the flash in, leave it in. If you intend to take it out, you better take it out well. Because I better not be able to tell that you took a flash out. That's when I'll be like, that sucks. Like you tried to do something and you didn't do it. And that's with the piece sequences back in the day where like I get it. Like I used to shoot with Marty Morawski a ton, and Marty was like doing crazy tech shit. Like he was like, I want to shoot a sequence of a fakie heel, fakie 5-0, fakie flip. That's still fucked for today, but at the time, no one had even done that. And he was like, rather than have you come out with me 6 weekends in a row to like get this clip, I'm going to get the clip and then we can piece the sequence.
I don't think it was this one though, Kelly. I think it was a different one. I think Costin was in the background of one.
Well, there's one where the dude just pops up out of nowhere.
On this one?
No,
Yeah.
I don't think it's this one though.
No, but there's a story behind this. I don't remember exactly I can't remember what it was, but
It might have just been an extra roll-up frame or something though, right? Like it's not...
because the dude's not in the background the first couple sequences, then he pops in at the end. You see the guy in the white t-shirt in the back?
Yeah, for sure.
That's why I remember.
I know there's another one too. It's blatant. He's just standing right up on the thing, and he's gone one frame. But I don't know. I understand the deal with photoshopping, but I still don't know if a photo should be messed with in the like. You know what I mean?
And I like that. That's it's good for you. Like you can have that opinion, and I think some people, some older skaters too, are very much like it should be the one that they made. Like the photo should be from the make.
I'm not necessarily like hung up on that.
I feel like that's the next level.
It could be a good photo, but I just think that like don't try to dupe me.
Yes.
Like just I want to see the photo in its entirety.
That's fair. But also I think to what I was saying earlier, if you're duped well and the thing exists, like if the sequence doesn't have the guy popping up in the back and it's like a weird eyesore where you're like, wait, that didn't look right, and then you see the footage and the footage looks like the sequence, like. It's all about how you do everything, I think. Like, then you see the clip and you're like, oh, this is sick. Like, that was a sick clip and the sequence was rad and it told me the story I needed to know. And, like, again, it's like I got yelled at once by some old guy at some skate park in Santa Cruz because my friend Horsey was trying a trick on this fence, like a foot plant, and we were shooting it and he was doing it. Took like 6 tries and this guy was drunk and he just was like, oh, what are you doing? And we were just kind of like, oh, we're just shooting a photo, man. Like, you know, like, go away, please. And he was like, that's not how he skates. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, he's trying it too many times. Like he thought like if he didn't get it the first time, we should move on. Like that's it. Like that was like, and that's his version of that, right? Like his version of like OG, like no, you roll up and you do your first line in the bowl and that's what happened and that's it. And you don't sit and try the same trick 50 times. That's stupid. And I'm like, that's cool. That's cool that that's how you view skating. I just don't. And clearly he doesn't.
He was wasted,
and like
so.
you know, but you know, good
He
for
ain't no
him.
skater. He don't know what's going on.
He's holding it down. He, you know,
Maybe he is. Who knows?
I just
what his
thought it was
deal
some
is.
random drunk guy.
No, he was a skater. He's like an
Okay.
old bull guy, you know. And I was like,
okay.
you know, at the time I was young, and I'm like, what? You're a kook. Shut up. And it's like, no, dude. Like that's just how he feels about it, which is cool.
Yeah.
In his right, you know, I don't agree with it, and in the same sense of like Chris, you saying like, oh, I want to see what actually happened, and I don't want this like to be duped. I think I'm fine with being duped. It's like again, when I watch a movie, when you watch like Inception. Are you like that room wasn't really upside down? I know that. No, I want to see I want to see the real shot, and I want Nolan to show me that all this. It's like no, you want magic. You want someone to make some magic and like make you feel a type of way.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, but I am a behind the scenes guy too, and I love to see the actual green screen and the thing and how they do it.
So maybe what you want is the sequence with the guy photoshopped out, and then someone later being like, "This is how we photoshopped out the guy."
That would be cool.
Maybe like a nice balance
but
for you.
Still, like I don't know. Like I mean, what was wrong with what was wrong with the other 2 frames to the roll up?
I don't know. Maybe
did all the rolls that you shot?
What if guy didn't like it? What if he did something weird with his face or his hand or something, and he was like self-conscious about it? That happens. Skaters would be like, I don't like this photo because of this.
Well, Dubs, that happened to you, and he still ran it.
I ran it all day. I had a shitty ass face, and, and I got caught out there, and it's okay.
That's tough.
You know?
But you know what though? I have a lot of people. 2 days ago, I shot a photo of someone, and he zoomed in on his face. He was like, "Damn, I really do that with my." He had his tongue in his mouth. And I was like, "I don't know what to hear."
Yep.
And I'm like, "That is so sick." Like sometimes as a skater, you get so caught up in perfection, right? You want to like perfect everything so much, and you're like, "I want this to be. I want to look like it's not a big deal. Like I'm doing a crazy trick, and my face is like this." In a photo that sucks.
Yeah.
You want to see the face that's like you want someone.
That's exactly what it was. Right
Yeah,
there.
you want someone to look terrified. All the early skate photos, the best skate photos were like Tony Alva, like for the first time ever getting above the coping. He looks like he's terrified.
For sure.
Because he didn't know what the fuck was going to happen.
Right.
He got up there and he just was like, oh shit, never been up here before. And that's why those photos are so cool. So I love a good skate face. And I know at the time you didn't like it, but I think it ages well, and
of
it's
course.
like
I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, we got a shot. So
Exactly.
We got the
Exactly.
shot.
my
Exactly.
face is irrelevant.
You know who had the illest skate face, or probably still does? Honestly, you don't see many photos that much. Stefan Janoski.
Oh yeah.
He always had like a still photo, always had like this dope. I don't know the aesthetic of like the way his skate face was made the photo.
It had a little bit of like whimsy, like he kind of had some bending. Oh yeah, that's a good Alva photo right there. That's like, holy shit, I'm above the coping. What do I do now? Like that's what that face says to me.
Right.
I love that shit. I love a good skate face, and yeah, skaters get. It's because there's this whole thing that happened where skating got too easy for people in the last like 20 years, and you see a photo of someone on top of a mountain of a handrail, and their hands are at their side, and they're like this.
And you're
like,
almost bored.
What? Yeah. it makes for a boring photo. Like, all due respect,
Right.
that's a
Yeah.
crazy thing to do, and I respect that you did it. But it's a boring photo, and if it's like, there's no point in shooting a boring skate photo. You want it to be exciting, and the clip won't be boring because you're going to be going 10 times faster at the bottom of the rail than you were at the top. So the clip is completely a different thing.
Sure.
But I like when people when you look uncertain.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh shit, I don't know what's going to happen.
See some emotion.
Yeah.
You know, this is skateboarding. Man.
Energy,
It is,
right?
yeah.
You want to shoot out that energy of, because we all feel it. That's the coolest thing about skating is like, no matter how much you suck at skating, when you do a skate trick, it feels so different than what it probably looks like.
For sure.
I know,
Like
right?
when I fucking nose slide pop over the curb at Venice, I'm like, dude, I look like Rob Welsh right there. I was so sick. And you see the clip and you're like, ooh.
I look like Matt Price.
Yeah, I am
I
most
look like
certainly
myself.
myself right now. And I think when I shoot a skate photo, I want it to really look how it feels when the person did it, or look how, when I can imagine what it felt like when I did the nose slide pop over, I want to all the photos to look like that. I want it to look like, oh shit, it was this heavy energy burst or whatever, and not this because you don't want to take the energy out. You always need it to look gnarlier than it was, because it just doesn't translate.
But then you do have those anomalies like an Antoine Dixon,
for sure.
where you're like, damn, he looks like he's bored and lazy right now, but that photo is so sick.
So Tom Penny,
Tom
same
Penny,
thing.
yes,
Antoine
exactly.
and Penny are very similar to me, where it's like the arms at the side are like perfectly. It's like a quiet chaos.
Yeah.
Like there's something about it that you're like, how it's like the eye of a hurricane or something, where you're like, oh my god, what is happening?
Well, you know it's not forced.
Yeah.
It's just them being them. It's like sometimes you could tell.
For
when
sure.
a skater's trying to,
we
be
can
a
all
little,
Everyone out there, we can all tell.
That's right. That's right.
So cut that shit out right now.
I was trying to be conscious about my face when I was doing that trick, but it's so hard to be conscious about your face.
You were trying to be conscious about it?
Yeah, because I seen it a couple times. We shot it a couple times, and I'm like, do my face, and then I'm like, do my face, and then I was just like, fuck it, dude, we got it, we're good.
You just couldn't. You couldn't change the face at all.
It was just like, no, it was just like that was gonna happen that way.
There's something beautiful about that, right? Like it was supposed to be like
It
But
was
that.
then you're
supposed to
trying
be
a
that.
trick while trying a trick, basically.
Yeah, I was trying to trick myself from not doing that. I could not do it.
See, that's fake style.
Yeah,
you were
that
trying to
is.
have some fake style right there.
I didn't even think about it.
You were trying to fake the fun.
I was trying to fake the
You
fun
should
like
like
that face.
smiled or something.
No.
You should have just like smiling.
The only good skating is like natural skating.
That's
It's
true.
got to
Look at that
happen.
one.
Look at
that.
Tom Penny.
Oh my god, you can't even see his arms. They're so low.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so
Oh,
chilling
that's
right
a-
there.
Who shot that? Did Wig shoot that?
We don't know. Maybe,
It's a
maybe we
beautiful
can look
photo,
it up.
man.
Man, I don't
That's
know.
great
That is
right there.
that's one of my favorite things that happens on accident, but I love it when a foot and a nose bleeds out of the edge of the fisheye. It gives you this weird sense that the action's continuing in some other frame that you don't get to see. It leaves you wanting more. I love that shit.
Interesting.
I love it.
That was interesting seeing Puma involved in
This one?
Yeah, they're the only one who hasn't made it back in yet.
yeah.
Well, this was
yeah.
fuck. How long ago was this, man? 10 plus years
Dude,
ago.
those were like the
No,
Europe
this is longer.
days.
This is
were-
longer than that.
They probably got to cover that whole course for $8,000.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised.
And
They
no
came
one
up
there,
so hard.
no one there was wearing Puma.
No one
Yeah.
cared at all. But that's why they got a good deal.
Yeah.
They're like, there's a skate contest. No one's going to see it, but it's a great opportunity for Puma to shine.
Oh my God. Let's bring this back because I want to get into the Skateboard Mag stuff because Skateboard Mag was it was such a good mag. And that's kind of where you got your start was with
For
those
sure.
guys.
Yeah.
But going back, you had mentioned skateboardphotography.com. Was it? Skateboard.
That was a Pete Thompson photo, by the way.
That was Pete Thompson.
Pete Thompson.
Oh,
Okay.
sick.
Good looks, Raj. Skateboardphotography.com. It was kind of like the slap forum for skate photography, right? Like you said, they would
Yeah.
tear a photo apart
Yes.
if they had, if there was anything wrong with it. And I think I read somewhere that you got into that, but you're colorblind. So
Wow, Chris, in front of everybody?
Oh, you
Just
don't
going to out me like that?
We're
You
gonna
don't
edit
wanna-
out, edit it. No, I'm joking.
Now you got me feeling all bad.
No, I'm kidding. It's
No,
fine.
so you're colorblind. So your photos were getting roasted more
Yeah.
than you were posting stuff. You're like, oh, this is gonna be great.
Yeah. I didn't know. I didn't know what I was missing. I guess with the colors. I didn't know. I wasn't shooting the films. Back then, it was all films. So
Sure.
it was I was shooting less vibrant films than the good guys were shooting and stuff. And people would be like, "Yeah, these colors fucking suck," and I just was like, I don't see the difference.
But how do you get over that? Do you have to train yourself to know certain colors, as a photographer?
Back then, someone just told me the right film to buy. They were like, "Shoot Velvia." that's like the film that has the most color, and that's what everyone like shot for skating. Not everyone, but a lot of people. That's like what Atiba and Grant and people like that shot, you know, in that era. So I just started shooting Velvia, and it was like, oh, the colors are better. And I didn't do a ton of posts to like my film. You know, maybe I was trying in the beginning to do more posts to it, like do color correction, or I knew Photoshop like this much, and I was like, oh, try it out. So I think I was probably just fucking them up. Right. But yeah, those guys were mean.
But I think it. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just like, what colors can you like? What colors are hard for you to understand, really?
Well, this gets really stonery if we want to get into it.
I'm curious.
How do I know
about this
your red is my red, Kelly?
Well, yeah, no, I think my mom told me, she's like, you're colorblind. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like,
well, yeah,
I'm like, I don't think I am.
Kelly, when I walked in, he was like, dude, that's a cool blue sweater.
To you?
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Oh, you didn't know? Oh, no?
I was...
No, yeah. I can tell who's not colorblind because they'll just be like, what color's my shirt? And I'm like, well, it's black. Like, everyone know. Like, if you look like John's like, what color's my shirt? I'm like, oh, it's a black shirt. Like, I know that. Like, there's not... Black and white are pretty easy to, like, you know... It's, I think there's something like... I don't even know. I'm going to say this wrong. But, like, red, green, and, like, blue, green. Like, there's a few combinations of color blindness. I think I have 3 of them. I'm not sure exactly which ones. But I know that what it means is, like, I have no clue what color this beer can is.
It's
what does it look like to you?
Yeah.
So I would guess yellow or orange.
Okay.
But you could also tell me it was green, and I would just believe you because as far as I know about the color green, it could look like this. Is it green? What is it?
No,
it's yellow.
Okay, it's yellow.
Yeah.
Well, so like I wasn't too far off, but like it could be a whole spectrum of colors for me where I'm just like I would take 3 guesses, but then you use context clues. Like that's another thing that you don't realize you're doing it. But like if you were wearing a blue sweater.
Yeah.
And I thought it might be purple or blue, I would just probably guess that you were wearing a blue sweater because there's probably way more blue sweaters than purple sweaters.
Yeah.
Like you start to like accidentally do this context thing where you're like
process of elimination.
Exactly. You're like
Break it
using,
down.
and it happens so fast sometimes that you don't think about it and you just do it. But I have had like issues where like I've definitely sent photos into the Skateboard Mag back in the day that like Grant was like, why is the sky purple? And I'm like, oh, that's weird. I don't know that.
Yeah, right. Were you not telling everybody that? I mean, this is I know this has been in interviews. You've said this in interviews.
I just never saw it as something that needed to be talked. It wasn't like a thing. I guess I didn't understand it enough then to be like, oh, hey, just so you know, I'm colorblind. This might be screwed up. I just was like, I'm just gonna try my best and I hope it works.
Why was the sky purple?
Because I just did some weird. I was fucking with the knobs, you know, when you're in Photoshop and you're just like playing with stuff. Because that's what it is when digital photography is just like you get it into Photoshop or RAW or whatever, you know, Lightroom, and you just start tweaking shit. And you're just like, oh, pull this up, pull this down, see what it looks like. And I was like, this looks pretty cool, and it looked cool because it was purple. And I was like, and I sent it. He sent it back, or he told me that, and I was like, oh, cool. I'll dive back in. I'll fix it. Thought I fixed it.
No.
Send it back, like, still purple. I'm like, dude, why don't I send you the raw file and you can just play with it?
Right.
Oh.
But now, my wife now helps me a ton. Susie,
sick.
when I'm editing photos, like, she is, like, killing. Because especially when I'm doing portraits, product stuff, you know, because a skate photo, it's, like, so artsy and abstract. You can get away with a lot of shit in a skate photo. You can kind of be like, oh, the sky was purple because they're like, fuck you, you know? It's like you can kind of, this is what I wanted. But when you're shooting, like, apparel for a brand or a shoe or something, I have to like bring her in to be like, hey, does this red look right? Like here's the raw file and here's this. Did I change it to brown? You know, or something like that. And usually I'm 9 times out of 10 I'm right. But
did you meet the Skateboard Mag dudes on that website?
So yeah, Grant was on that website.
Okay.
He was it was like the rumor that like, dude, Stick was his name.
Oh,
which is funny that the Stick. I think it was Stick because he did the pole cam originally. I'm not sure if that's why it was, but I always thought that because he did the pole cam photo of Chris Miller. Raj, can you bring that one up on the monitor here? But he did the thing where he rigged the camera up to like a broomstick basically and shot this really amazing photo. It's like perfect. It's so perfectly composed. It's beautiful.
We got to check this out.
And so I think that's maybe why his name was Stick. I don't know. Maybe there's another reason. But he was Stick on there, and I heard from someone, oh, Stick is Grant Brittain. And I was like, no way. So, you know, everyone's messaging Grant Brittain or whatever. And I think I like sent him a few photos and just like introduced myself maybe. And he was super nice and, you know, cool and whatever. But that was kind of my first interaction with Grant. And then Matt McCarroll, yes, that photo. That's like,
Oh,
look.
that's such a great.
So he
I
wasn't.
remember that.
He's
You
not.
could
Look.
see it in
Oh,
the
you can see
shadow.
the shadow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can see him holding it. It's like a boom.
What year was this? I mean, are you sure this wasn't just a GoPro and a stick?
Like
Just kidding. I'm
zoom
kidding.
in. Let's see.
I'm kidding.
87,
No.
88.
Yeah, it looks like late 80s. I always want to say 86 because I was born in 86, so I hope that every iconic photo is from 86. But I think the way the framing is so perfect, and the irony is Grant is the person who will be the first person to be like, look through your lens. And I'm like, you weren't looking on the pole cam photo.
Oh yeah.
So there you go.
Was that a cover?
I don't know if it was
Or
a
is that
cover.
just a shot?
I wasn't born yet, Jerome.
That's true.
But it's, man,
They need to
that
pull out poster.
Pull out
that
the-
photo
there it
is just
there
so
it is.
sick
that.
to me. And the fact that he is getting hit by the sunlight while all the bowl below him is in the shadow, so he pops like he didn't need a flash.
No, this is a conspiracy now. We're getting into like the moon landing. Why is the rover?
That's
It's
true.
in a shadow, but it's lit up.
That's true.
Why is he? I don't.
Grant,
believe,
I
I don't
don't-
believe this is. I don't believe this is real.
Look at his shadow. He's doing a stale fish in the shadow, and he's doing
Oh
a
my
frontside
God.
air in the I don't know,
We
Grant.
started a whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they didn't even see that.
No, it's really sick. It's just it's one of these photos that you can dissect for a long time, and you
love
can
it.
just really enjoy in a lot of ways. But
So he was on this thing, and you hit him up.
yes, so I started talking to him. I don't remember how it went. So my friend Matt McCarrow, who was at the time he shot for.
Wasn't it like what's the distribution called?
Well, he shot for Syndrome.
DNA?
He shot for Syndrome. I don't know if at the time he was yet shooting for Syndrome or if he was just still freelancing and submitting. But Matt McCarrow, rest in peace. Matt passed away a few years ago. But he was an incredible photographer and a really, really good photo editor. Like he did, I think Transworld's like photo editing for the last few years of Transworld maybe, or finishing or something for them. But he was someone I made friends with on that site. He was like he had photos run in the magazines, and he was kind of like a pro photographer as far as I was concerned. And he was the first person who gave me the time of day. And he sold me old gear. He sold me like a Sunpack flash and like the old Quantum remote receivers, like all this stuff that like I didn't even know about. And he was like, yeah, that's Grant Brittain. You should send him your shit. And I'm like, all right. We messaged a little bit, and he was nice, and he liked a few photos that I had posted. It was right when I was kind of starting to I won't say know what I was doing because I was getting lucky still, I think, but I would get lucky like once per roll, and something would be like, oh, it's working out. And yeah, so me and Grant started talking on there, and then one day I just was like, hey, do you can I send photos to the Skateboard Mag? Can you give me the address? Like, that's all I need from you is an address. And he gave me the address. And I was like, sick. And I stressed over it for like weeks. What slides I had all these slides, I was shooting Hasselblad stuff, these 120 slides. And I was like, what am I going to send to him? I'm going to send one sheet, 12 photos. They got to be my 12 best.
Who are you shooting with at this point in time? Are you in Arizona still? Or
Arizona.
okay.
I think on that sheet, like Marty Morawski, Levi
Okay.
Brown.
So you're shooting with
Ricky
people.
Geiger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
I mean, in
okay.
Arizona, they were the guys. Maybe some Ryan Lay when he was really
Sick.
young. I had like a handful of they were, I had made it a point to probably through MySpace at the time, I was reaching out to because I lived in Mesa. I wasn't super close to any of the skate parks, or I wasn't involved in any of those scenes, or I didn't have a skate shop really that I was really in the mix with at
And
that time.
These are probably people that Skateboard Mag wanted photos of anyway.
Well, I had hope in my head for sure. I was
Sure.
like, why wouldn't you want a photo of Marty Morawski? Because he's like the best skater in Arizona. Of course you want this. But from their perspective, they actually agreed, and they're like, yeah, we want to showcase people from the
Yeah.
different regions and stuff.
They
So
don't have anybody out there in AZ to shoot.
exactly. So I think they saw value in that. I don't think every mag would, but I think they did. Swift especially. So I sent photos, and I don't know how long after I messaged him I sent them, but I got a message back from him one day. He's like, hey, did you just send a sheet of slides with absolutely no information on them? And he didn't know my real name either, or maybe I had introduced myself.
What was
but
your name on the website?
Kung Flurry. Okay. Which was a joke because my friend bit into a piece of metal while he was eating a McFlurry. And the joke was that I think my friend Joel Ziering, he bit into a McFlurry, and or maybe it was my friend Zach Reed, but one of those dudes, they broke their tooth or something.
Ah.
And the joke was that the McFlurry kicked their ass, and someone was like, yeah, new Kung Fu is a Kung Flurry. And so that was a dumb inside joke, and we named our skate video locally Kung Flurry. And so when I made a name on this stupid website, made it Kung Flurry. So Grant knew me as Kung Flurry, and he was like,
So good.
he was like, what, he was like, yeah, are these yours? Is this you, Matt Price? I was like, yeah, oh, that's me, sorry. And I was like, I sent them in for critique at that point. I didn't think something would get run. I told him I want to send them in so you can tell me what I can do better. You know,
You
I
didn't
want
put Matt Price, the name of the skater, the name of the trick, the place it was. You didn't put
Nothing,
anything.
nothing,
Just
no.
blank.
After that, I did. Right. After that day, I did forever. But yeah, it was just an empty, like a sheet of slides. And he was like, "Hey, can you give me the info on this one? We're going to run it in issue 14." And I was just like, "What?"
Which one was it?
Levi Brown. It was an ollie to fakie on this really tight brick transition. He was blasted. It was like one of those like natural. It was at a bank, like a natural transition that was like 3 feet probably of transition, and then maybe like 8 feet of vert. And he was probably like 5 feet into the vert, just doing a boned ollie fakie. It was nice,
Stylish.
stylish. Levi's,
Levi,
you know,
for sure.
He's got the pop. He's got the style.
Did you get paid for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
I don't
much?
remember. Probably a couple $100. I don't know. I think it ran past the bleed or past the half page mark. So I think you got a full page rate. I think it was probably $250 or something.
Nice.
And but I was just like, I sent those in thinking he was just gonna say like, move your flashes or like, you know, keep going or something. And they ran it, and I was just
So
like,
great.
holy shit! Like, because I was told early on when I was shooting skate photos by some friends in the skate industry, Mike Stanfield. Shout out to Film Bot Files, Mike
Oh, yeah,
Stanfield.
yeah.
Mike had told me, and he was just
Great
trying.
mustache,
He was
that
trying.
guy.
Oh, yeah.
Great
real good mustache. He was trying to help me out when I was like 17, and was like, "Don't even bother submitting to Skateboard Mag. You know, send your stuff to Thrasher. That's a good place to start. You know, because at the time it was kind of like that was the hierarchy. You know, clearly not the case now. But then that was the time. It was like maybe try Thrasher first. You know, and get your foot in the door. Because Skateboard Mag is like, you know, they're not even gonna look at your shit. You're not shooting with the right guys. You're not like they got a Tiba. Like you're
Well,
not.
they had like
You can
the,
get
the photographers there.
Yes.
You get photo graffiti if you get in Thrasher.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think
go.
that's
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
what he was
yeah.
thinking. He thought like best case scenario, you can get a photo of Marty and photo graffiti, and I would have been like ecstatic. I was like, holy shit! So I did some of that, you know, and I had some photos, you know, some stuff involved with Thrasher, and then and I just sent it to Grant. I went against Mike's wishes, you know, or not his wishes, but at the time I was like believing him as like gospel, you know, and I was like, well, let's just see what happens, you know. I talked to Grant Brittain. He was nice to me, and yeah, so that
We already
worked
have
out.
an in with this guy's stick.
Stick, yeah, I
Yeah.
was hitting up Stick, and I was, you know, Kung Flurry and Stick had a rapport.
But you eventually got hired for the Skateboard Mag.
Really quickly after that, like
Photo editor? Wait, what were you? Editor?
well, that was later. I was just hired as a staff photographer in the beginning.
Did they want you to just cover AZ, or did they want you to come out here to LA?
No, I mostly covered like AZ stuff, and then they sent me on trips.
Okay.
So it was like I went on tours with people and stuff, and that was kind of like within a year of sending that first photo run, they had me shoot Phoenix Am for them. I had a few assignments or whatever, and then they you know were like, oh, do you want a job? And
That was your first paid photos that you got from the beginning?
no, so the first photo I ever had run was in Slap Mag, and they were ads. The first two things I had run, it was an ad of Marty Morawski for DVS.
Sick.
And there was an ad for a very different situation. Josh Hawkins for a brand called Busted Skateboards, which, in hindsight, what a name.
Josh Hawkins, man, he's gnarly.
Wow.
Oh, it was a tray flip on spot back home. It was fucked. It was like
Yeah.
a really, really crazy trick. And so I had those two in the same issue. Those were my first ever like published in a Skate Mag photos.
So sick.
And then I had a few things in Thrasher. I had a thing called the Skater's Eye, where they like, you know, it was kind of a photographer checkout a little bit, you know, and I had a few photos in that. And I had I had a photo in the Transworld Photo Annual. My theory forever is that Transworld started showing me love, and then the Skateboard Mag guys were like, oh shit. Like, you
gotta
know,
swoop
like,
this
yeah.
guy
Well,
up.
there weren't any like young photographers really at the time. All the photographers were in their late 20s or 30s, and I was like 18.
Coming
Oh,
up,
wow,
yeah.
fresh.
And I think they were like, "Oh shit, we got to get it on the next generation, maybe." And Skin ran a few of my. I got a photographer checkout in Transworld in the photo issue in like 2005. 20. This is 2005 maybe or 2004. And then I had a photo in the photo annual, and it was. I think those guys were like, "Oh fuck."
We got to
Like,
get
yeah, we got to swoop.
I mean, at this time too, man, the Skateboard Mag, it was this new thing. I mean, how long was it in business for? 8, 10 years, something like
About
that?
10, I think.
10?
10.
Let's say
You-
10.
But when it first came out, it was this, I mean, it was a T, but Jeff, I mean, they had like,
Oh, Blayback,
Blayback,
Siba,
they had
Landy,
they had the dopest
Swift, Grant, like
people.
Legendary squad.
And so this whole, and just the layout, it was like this fresh.
Akko laid it out. It was fucking great.
Fresh new magazine.
Dave Carney writing. They had, you know, Naratko was doing stuff. Kevin
you go.
Wilkins
Oh,
is
yeah.
like, you know, it's just all these people all the people to me that made Transworld. Because I was a Transworld kid for sure. Like I grew up loving Transworld, and that was the crew from Transworld. All the best guys all left and went over there. You know.
Oh,
Also-
the bind of the magazines ended up making like a photo. So if you had them all, like you, you'd
Yeah.
make
Oh,
a photo.
yeah.
that was like kind of dope. Like I don't.
Oh, the
remember-
attention to detail.
Yeah.
I don't remember anybody doing that.
Again, I think we hadn't had a new magazine for a while anyway, too. So having this new thing to come out with all these dope dudes was like, it was a special thing.
For sure. I mean, the first issue of that magazine, that was before I worked for them, of course, but that like changed my, like a few magazines from my youth I remember really like being like, that's a magazine I'll remember forever. The first Thrasher King of the Road, got to give respect to that. It was amazing. It was awesome. The first issue of the Skateboard Mag ever. Those 2 issues were issues that stuck with me forever. Like I can tell you every page of the first issue of the Skateboard Mag. There's like a Cairo interview in there that was amazing. The Danny Way stuff was great. Like it was sick. Like there was so much good. As a photographer too, as someone who loves skate photography, I remember telling my dad when I must have been 17 when that came out, and I was just like poring over it in my room and just so psyched. And we were talking, he was like, "What's this?" You know, I was like, "Oh, new magazine, whatever." And I was like, "This is the magazine I want to work for."
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this is my dream. I was like, I want to work for these guys.
And you spent 8 years working for them.
Yeah, it was like 2 years after I had that conversation with my dad. It happened, and I was just like, well, that was okay. Terrifying, but fast.
You manifested that, bro. Shit,
Yeah.
you wanted it.
I mean, yeah.
When you said you got so you're working for the Skateboard Mag, what does that entail every month that you do for them? Like obviously you're just submitting photos, but they're like, is there a quota of stuff you need to get done within the month?
No, so it was just like send us first dibs. It was a retainer, right? So technically I wasn't like an employee, but it was like send us first dibs of everything you shoot, and we'll tell you what we want to run. And if we don't run something, then you're free to like sell it for an ad, or like they told me even I could submit to other mags, which I felt weird about at that time, because that's also like if you were staff for a mag and they're on their masthead, like no one else really wanted to run your shit editorial wise. So, but I could sell it for ad or whatever. But it was like, you know, I was $750 a month. That was what I got. That was my first retainer, you know, which when you're 19 and if you're still living at home, like I was in a good position. My parents were rad and helpful and let me live at home and supported me. And it was like $750 a month when you're living at home is dope.
Oh yeah,
like
for sure.
That's great. And so, yeah, that was looking back. Like I remember feeling this immense amount of pressure. And every month if a mag came out and I didn't have something run, I would feel bad. Like I'd be like, fuck, they didn't like, I didn't have anything this month, you know, and I would feel like I was fucking up. And now looking back, I'm like, $750, you can afford it. That's fine. And they probably were too. They're like, yeah, like we're letting you like, you know, figure it out, you know?
Yeah, get your feet wet.
Yeah.
Berrics ended up buying the Skateboard Mag, which I think that was part of the. It was kind of a sad thing, right? I mean, I don't know if it was the Berrics' fault or whoever it was, but you could tell. I mean, that was kind of the downfall of the Skateboard Mag.
I think it was in a tough place. Everything was moving to the internet. The Skateboard Mag was very focused on print and photography. Video was becoming king quickly. We probably didn't have the video capacity that we should have had for that time. There was 7 owners of the mag too.
Sure.
There was a lot of cooks in the kitchen. A lot of people wanted different things, you know, and no one wanted a wrong thing. Everyone wanted the right thing for the direction they wanted to go, but it was kind of getting pulled in lots of different directions.
You can't do that.
Yeah, it's tough, you know, and that was a good early lesson in like, oh yeah, there can't be 7 captains of one ship. It's tough, you know, like I think if in that moment, like Atiba and Akko had their own mag and Swift and Grant had their own mag, they both would have been great successes because they were just on, you know, just different pages. And it's understandable. Like, it's not bad. It doesn't, you know, no one was wrong, no one was right. It just was like, yeah, it was what it was. It just wasn't, that was combined with the internet and the video thing and Thrasher kind of investing heavily in video. And it just kind of, this whole thing kind of happened quickly in the mag just for whatever reason, probably lost sponsors. And, you know, it happened slowly at first, then quickly.
Yeah, print was going out of style.
Yes, exactly. And it's like you can't support a brand because at the end of the day, like Thrasher's a brand, Skateboard Mag is a brand. You can't support a brand just on a print magazine at that point. Thrasher was also starting to sell way more T-shirts. And like, you know, the brand of Thrasher was like growing. And due to a lot of things they did, you know, they're good at what they do. But and yeah, the mag I think was just in a spot where they didn't know really what to do with it. So yeah, I think the Berrics came in and was like, well, we want a mag, because the Berrics at the time I think was the only digital skate media that could like compete with the Thrasher. So I think maybe Berra thought, yeah, we're gonna go head to head and we're gonna buy a magazine and we're gonna make a magazine. And
but you left shortly after.
Yeah. I worked for the Berrics for like 4 months. It just just wasn't a good fit. Nothing against them. I just wasn't really like. Didn't feel. I think my time was already probably done, and then that was kind of like the nail in the coffin. Where I was like, I'm good.
Were you? Because you went to work for CCS.
Yeah.
But did you quit Skateboard Mag before CCS, or was that already in the talks of you getting a job there?
So I had talked to Dave Swift, who like, so Swift was like, it's funny. I first talked to Grant, but Swift was the person who really like I think pushed for me to work there, and Swift was like the dude who had my back. I mean, Grant had my back too, as Tiba, everybody, but like Swift really was like, you're gonna be our guy, and I owe Swift a ton because he was the dude through the whole journey who kind of like taught me a ton of stuff, you know, like really I learned a lot about magazines through him and skateboarding and the industry. And so I talked to Swift and was like, hey, I think I'm going to move on, which was crazy because like I got my dream job at 19, which was my entire identity. I was nothing before that, right? Like I had nothing, and then all of a sudden I had like these guys, Atiba and Grant and Swift, telling like a brand or a pro like, this is our guy, go shoot with him. And it was like I got instant access to all these pros and all these people I grew up with, and it was like really cool. And so my whole existence at that point was I am Matt Price, I work for the Skateboard Mag. And like,
when did you move out here to LA?
Oh, I didn't move out to LA till like 5 years ago, till after like mid CCS. But so I was still in Arizona at the time, and I was in Miami with my wife, and I had just started dating at that point, and I was out there with her family, and it was, I don't know if it was a holiday or what, but I remember calling Swift, and it was like I was like shaking, like I thought I was gonna cry. I was like, dude, I'm moving on, like I'm leaving. And I appreciate everything. That was after I had been the photo editor for a few years. I had come and worked in Oceanside with them in the office and went back to being a photographer, and just was kind of like, it's time for me to move on. And obviously he was cool about it. It was fine. And then I had done a side job for the new owner of CCS who had just bought it like a couple months before. And I got an email an hour later. I was feeling crazy. You feel like buzzing. You're just like, holy shit. He emailed me. He's like, hey, I want you to come to Portland and interview for this job, like to be full-time at CCS. And I was like, all right, well, that seems meant to be.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was like when they say whatever, the whole cliche of like when a door closes, another one opens, but like right away, like it was fucking
That's amazing.
So
we went up to Portland, took the job.
Well, not that fast. So no. I didn't want to move to Portland. Nothing against Portland. I was back in Arizona at that point. I had lived in Oceanside for a few years, and because I worked at the Mag, and then Susie and I had started dating. We moved back to Arizona, and then at that point I was like, I'm never leaving Arizona again. I'm staying here forever. And so when he was like, I want to give you this cool job, but you got to move to Portland, and I was like, fuck. I was like, can I stay here and do it? And he's like, no. So we worked out a deal where I did like, a third of the job on retainer from Arizona for about 9 months to a year. Because CCS at the time, Foot Locker had bought CCS in like 2007, 2008. Perfect timing with the financial crisis, like just bad timing for sure. And, probably a few instances of maybe like not understanding what they bought and, some just a bunch of stuff combined. Sure. And within, a few years, by 2012, 2013, they were just shutting it down. Darren Horowitz and a group of investors bought it. Darren, who contacted me and was like, can you help us? My friend Kevin Wilrick was doing social media for them at the time.
This is from Daddy's Board Shop?
They owned Daddy's Board Shop, and Daddy's Board Shop had done a really good job at like they did e-com for skateboards and longboards. And they bought CCS. They bought all like the IP basically, but it didn't come with anything. They didn't get any inventory. They got none of the team, none of the employees. So
they just bought the face and the brand.
Exactly. Yeah, they bought the brand CCS, and in lightning time, it was crazy how fast because Foot Locker had shut it down. They did like 70% off sales. They sold off everything they had, and we're like, okay, it's done. And then these guys bought it, and then within a month or two, had it back online. Kind of a beta version almost, just like chugging to like get it going. And then my friend Kevin, who's one of my like childhood friends, he was like, connected me with Darren, and he's like, oh, you just left your job, you should talk to him. And that's when I started doing kind of TM stuff for them and kind of helped them get a few riders on. Like I got like Ben Rayborn on the team and Chris Millick, which at the time, so like it was kind of, it was random. Like it was a really random CCS team compared to like it was Nija, Shane O'Neill, Silas. It was like superstars before, but it was kind of like this thing of like, well, there's no blueprint for what this is right now. So I was just like, well, these guys are my friends, and it was Rayborn, Chris Millick, and Preston Harper, my buddy from Arizona, and I was like, well, you guys should be the team, and we should just make some stuff. And fast forward a year later, I accepted the job, and I moved up to Portland and took on like the brand director role. And
how long did you move? How long did you live up in Portland for?
I was in Portland for 3 years.
3 years.
3 winters is how I count it. That's a lot.
I always found CCS interesting because they were the biggest online mail order. Skate shop, pretty much. Everybody would, circle what they wanted when they were a little kid and all this stuff. So I feel like Zoomies was a brick and mortar store, but I feel like CCS was never like looked down upon. Like they were always like
Some core skates.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like even
they also had a team. They were like
Totally.
they were one of the first like big skate shop teams, right? Like people would have local teams and stuff, but they were the first like pro team for a skate shop.
True.
And that was like Mike Adamski and the original crew over there. Like those guys did amazing shit. They were really like, you know, they were like trailblazers in there. You know, they were figuring out this new thing. It's this giant mail order business for skateboards. They realized, like, you know, 90% of the kids that skate in this country don't have a skate shop. They're
True.
not, they don't like, and I know that that's always the argument is like shop local, and you're like, a lot of people can't, or their shop doesn't have what they want. You know, there's a lot of, and of course I love Cowtown, Sidewalk Surfer, all the Arizona shops I grew up with, but my childhood was both.
right.
It was like some days I would get a ride to Sidewalk and be able to buy sale shoes, and some days I had to order from CCS.
And
You
I think
know,
a lot
it
of
was
people
like-
would order from CCS, but a lot of people would circle what they wanted, then go to their shop.
For sure. They'd
and
take
see
it
if
in.
They had.
Right.
Yeah.
They-
You
mom-
guys got this. You guys got
Mom
that.
will go in the shop and just be like, "Hey, he wants these 3 boards,"
Right.
And they gladly pull them off the wall. They'd be like,
So
"Hell
it was
yeah."
kind of like a win-win for everybody at
For
that
sure.
point too. But
For
also,
sure.
it's like it is those kids that don't have their closest shop is 90 miles away.
Totally. And I think that, like, again, I understand the argument for, like, you know, the idea of, like, whatever we see it with, like, Amazon, like big box stores
Sure.
can kind of, like, you know, take out smaller stores. So I fully get that and see it. But the way I grew up was not viewing it like that. It was viewing it like some days it was this, some days it was that. And it was a nice supplement to everything that I had at my disposal, I guess.
Well, I didn't look at it like that either. I just thought it was interesting that it was never looked at like that.
Yeah.
It had a pass.
It did. Well, that's because it wasn't Zoomies, you know, and I'm no disrespect to Zoomies. They keep a lot of skateboard companies
Sure,
in business.
sure.
But Zoomies was coming into your backyard, right?
Right.
Like if you have a shop in
Yeah.
Wichita, Kansas, and Zoomies opens in the Wichita Mall, that's probably a lot more, you're going to take that
It's
personally.
detrimental
For
to
sure.
that
Yeah,
shop.
if you're the person who owns the shop, and
That's
I
more
see,
territorial, for
I see
sure.
where that, which Heath Kirchart told me a good story once about Subsect that he has in Iowa. And when the Zoomies opened in their town, he was like, "Fuck, we're out of business. This is done." And he said the first year he saw no change, and the next year he saw no change, and the third year he saw growth. And again, that couldn't be because of a lot of things. It could be economic fact, you know, all these
Yeah,
things.
there's some-
But his takeaway maybe was like, "Oh, Zoomies didn't hurt our business, and maybe it helped our business because it brought in new skaters." And I'm not saying that was just like that's not his take, that's not my take, but that's like something he noticed, and he thought, it kind of changed his perspective about how he felt about it. And I was like, you might not be wrong. Like, I'm not going to be here being I'm not the big box champion guy, but I do think there's lots of ways to look at it. And I think it's important to make sure, like, before you get so set on like, fuck that, it's ruining everything. You're like, okay, well, what's ruining everything? Let's talk about this.
It's whoever, right? Because like it could be an entry point for little kids.
For
right?
sure.
They're going to go to the Zoomies first.
Yeah.
Then after maybe a board or two, whatever, they're going to find out about Subsect, and they're going to be like, Heath Kirchart. I'm moving on.
There's more of a
Yes.
feel here that I'm actually vibing towards.
Yeah,
And
and
I-
you just grow. You just grow.
Yeah.
Well, as if you stay,
You find what's dope.
My theory is they're like, I always think a skate generation is like 4 to 5 years. The way I think of it is like I started really getting into skating when I was 13, and then I had a driver's license in 3 to 4 years. A lot of kids, once they start driving, they start going on dates, you know, they start figuring all that stuff out. Skating kind of falls by the wayside.
For sure.
That's pretty common. And anyone who sticks with it past that like 4 to 5 year mark is going to progress into new realms of skating. So you shouldn't be so worried about who's taking your lunch in this realm if you're a brand that is focused on core skate. Because if you're focused on core skate, the people who have stuck with it and love it and it really like they bleed it, they're going to be around and they're going to figure out what's right and they're going to support what's right. So I think like, yeah, I just have always kind of thought this. That's the same with YouTube. Like I remember when it was like early YouTube skaters, it was like this thing of like, it's so whack. And I'm like, it's for 12-year-olds.
Right.
It's not whack. Like if they skate till they're 18, they're going to come to your shop or they're going to watch your video or whatever it is. Like they're going to get to that point. But like you can't expect a 12-year-old to watch like Minefield and like get it. Like 12
Unless they have people
Damn true.
around them, older cats that are schooling
schooling
them,
them
but
and helping them
even
along.
then,
But
you think-
living in the YouTube age, for sure. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they're going to go to the Brails and the Andy Schrocks and
For
stuff
sure.
to get their
Yeah.
fun
Yeah.
skate thing, and then they're going to move on.
Those
they're-
are the new influences, though. You know, besides having like your older crowd around you, now it's YouTube kind
Right.
of guiding these kids.
For sure.
Whereas before, for me, I had older dudes around me being like, "Dude, look at this. This is the cool shit."
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Like,
And you think you have a combo now, right? There's a few, you can have both of those at the same time. But when you're 12 and you're afraid to go to the skate park and you don't have skate friends yet, you're going to be on YouTube. You're going to watch these guys. Or you're going to be going to Zoomies to buy your boards or whatever. And like, that doesn't mean that the guys who work at Zoomies are lame. Like, they could be cool. Like, I went to Zoomies recently when I was in Miami. I needed to buy a board. And I went in there and I was buying a Weekend board. And the dude was like, I fucking love Weekend. And I was like, that's sick. Yeah. I didn't expect the Zoomies guy to love Weekend, you know? And I was like, that's really cool. But like you said, like there are versions of those guys in those places. But then if those kids stick with it long, like, dude, let that kid's going to be 18 and he's going to get angry and he's going to buy a hockey board. Like, just, he will do it. Like, he will have bought a Revive board from Andy Schrock when he was 12 and he'll angrily buy a hockey board when he's 18. And it's like, that's now kind of like the journey these kids are on. It's all part of it. Because, like, you know, again, if you're like, dude, watch the hockey edit when you're 12, like, I want to do that. It's like a focus test I'd love to do. I love hockey and I love those videos. Benny makes amazing videos, but I want to do a focus group of 12-year-olds watching the hockey video and just ask some questions after him. Yeah. What about that appealed to you? I'm just curious.
But it's also, you're growing up with what you relate with too.
For sure.
You know, it's like when I was little and watching the blind video days, I related to Guy Mariano more than I related to Jason Lee, because Jason Lee looked like an older dude to me, and Guy was like, he's like me. I could be that good.
For sure.
You know?
And that's like the old adage. That was like I heard always the flip guys would say, youth sells youth. Those dudes were always like about putting on children, you know, and it's like, but I remember being a kid and seeing Tosh Townend and being like, Tosh and me are the same age.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can vibe with that, you know, like, yeah, Jason Lee has a beard, like a real beard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't care about a beard. I'm 15, you know, like,
for sure.
Dude, you're afraid of a beard.
I think shorties, when I was a kid, like, it was like you had Sam Baptista and you had Chad Muska. You had like the two biggest things out there almost at that time.
Sure.
Muska, and then you have the one kid that you kind of related to.
Yeah.
So I always thought that was cool.
I related to Samuel Baptista for sure.
Because you could do switch flip backtail big spins.
No, actually, he was younger than me, so I don't know.
He felt younger than me, even though we were probably the same age. That you always think in your head, maybe you're a little older than you are.
Even if they're like a year younger.
Yeah. I remember watching Sammy and be like, dude, that little kid is sick. And I'm probably like 13 saying that.
Right. How old is Baptista?
He's a little older than me.
He's like, what, 38, 39?
He's got to be like 39 or 40.
Okay. Yeah.
So he was older than me then.
Maybe 40.
He was older than me too, and I just always thought he was a little kid.
Look at the little
Dude,
kid.
All this stuff
rewatch some of this stuff. It is fucked.
I know.
He did some gnarly shit, man.
He was like, again, when I was watching this part as a kid, Desert West, shout out Arizona, I didn't even understand what switch and regular were yet.
Switch flip back tail back then. Dude.
I didn't know what stance he was. I love that they have the wood on the outledge.
That was amazing.
Yeah, I didn't understand like switch skating to know what was going on when he was like, you know, skating both ways. Like, I didn't know what stance he was. It was like confusing.
That's so funny, man.
Oh, look at that gear, that Dodgers jersey.
Yeah, that's so
Kelly,
sick.
same jersey.
Dude, can you rewind that clip?
Yeah.
When he does that nollie flip, that's a crazy way to skate a bank. He waited till he stopped and almost switch flipped going down the bank.
He did.
That isn't.
Oh, he
that's
did,
so
huh?
terrifying.
He
The
waited to the very
scariest
peak.
way to skate a bank.
Like
He
you
landed
would do it
halfway
with the
down.
momentum going up.
Yes, that's the safe
versus-
way to do it. You land going up and then come back down.
Yeah.
But he
That's
just.
a car wash bank, by the way. That thing is steep
Yeah.
as hell.
It
Yeah.
was.
I love that. I love watching
Wow,
old skate videos, like especially when kids are skating. There's a thing you do when you're a kid because you don't know what's scary yet. Like he didn't know that it was scary to nollie flip that way. You know, like when you get older, you learn. Like skating an out ledge is a great example because when you're a kid, you're like, I can ride off a loading dock and I can nose slide a ledge that's a foot tall. So there's a foot tall ledge that's off an 8 stair, and in your head the math works out, and you're like, I can nose slide that, and you do. And now I'm like, you're just like, no, you could just eat shit from 5 feet up. Like that's the scary part. But when you're young, you just kind of have that mindset of like,
carefree.
the math works out, and you just do it. Love that.
Go off that instinct, you know.
Let's talk about. Well, we're on the CCS stuff real quick. And what was it like working for? I mean, the people who bought it. I mean, it's still this huge entity. I'm sure they built it back up from a beta website to like this big, massive thing again. You're putting, a lot of people on the team, and you guys are building it up. You're helping.
Yeah, we're
with
growing.
that.
Yeah, for sure. It grew, and it was. I mean, just to give you some perspective, like compared to like CCS is still at this day like not anywhere near what it was when like Foot Locker bought it. Like CCS was very, very huge. Like it was like big. CCS is doing well, and it rolls. But in the scheme of like big businesses in the world, like it's not like it's not fucking just gigantic. It's not like a Zoomies by any means, but it does well for like a skate shop, and for we were able to grow it, thank God. And it was we found some lanes that worked, and we found some team riders that were down for it, and we experimented a ton. That was a really fun thing, was just being like, well, there's nothing to lose, right? You bought a brand where it was kind of like, I don't want to say at its lowest, but like in the skate world, it kind of didn't have a ton of brand value at that moment because of some decision. A lot of things made it like that, it's timing, all these things. But for whatever reason, it was kind of like, oh, well, there's not really a lot of place to go but up now, because it's kind of like, it's an iconic brand. I grew up with it. I love it. I still have a good feeling about it. And a lot of people do, but at the time it was like, what the fuck are they doing? So we, took advantage of that and we're like, well, we can go do YouTube and shit like that. Like, right? Like that was scary for me. I was like, dude, because at the time.
What year is this?
2016. That was when I took the full-time job and we started doing like 100 kickflips videos and stuff. And it was like, I was watching YouTube and I was like, these YouTube guys are doing really well with these young kids and young skaters love this YouTube stuff. And it's the opposite of everything I've ever like wanted to do in skating. I want to like go on trips and shoot photos and like be quiet, kind of, crazy, right? I want to be quiet.
But once you can here's the thing with YouTube that's interesting too, is once you start seeing the results, that's when it becomes fun and interesting. You're like, okay, these are doing really well. The 100 kickflip things. I mean, we were talking about the Kader one that's got like, almost 3 million views, but like, and you're famous for now, not your photography, but that's when it starts to kind of click, and you're like, oh wow, people are enjoying these things. Like we got something here.
Yeah, yeah. I think the first one we did was just me and my friend Kevin, who we worked at CCS together, and he did the 100 kickflips, and in the first like week it had like 50,000 views, and we were getting like 2,000-3,000 views on anything we did up until then. Right. So it was like, oh cool, we kind of struck a chord. There's something that people like about this, And so we continued to do them and grow them. And at that point, again, when it's not working, it feels embarrassing, right? Yes. When you just put yourself out there and there's
ego involved for sure.
For sure. But for me, it helped because I had a job, right? CCS was paying me to do a job. So I looked at this as part of my job and it's like, well, that's my job. You can't talk shit. That's my job. If I had just started a YouTube channel without a company, without a job, I would have been so much more embarrassed. I would have been like,
if it was just you,
which is stupid.
But it is stupid because everything needs to grow.
Yes,
everything needs. You can't just come in and just kill it.
But it's like being a child star. You got to grow in front of the world. You got to grow publicly, which is like no one should have to grow publicly. It's like this whole. So
is this you right here? CCS welcome Scott DeCenzo to the team.
No, I didn't welcome Scott DeCenzo to the team. That's probably a little
What
older.
about CCS catches up with Corey Duffel?
No, that was pre me. Okay. We're probably
when are we
You probably shouldn't sort by oldest.
Yeah, this is really old stuff.
Chris, if you sort by most played, you'll find all my shit.
Oh, here we go. Well, no, I wanted to go back because
you want to find the beginning.
Well, yeah, I mean, 12 years ago. I mean, we're coming up to it.
Yeah, so we were in 2016 was when I started doing stuff for them. We were playing around with product reviews and stuff. So the whole 100 kickflip thing came about because everyone was doing unboxing videos, and obviously I was like, well, unboxing videos, we don't want to just do another one of those. So our whole thing was well, we can do a wear test where we show the shoes coming out of the box, and it's like a way that we can do an unboxing without calling it an unboxing. And also, just doing 100 kickflips is a great physical test of endurance.
Yeah.
So we would trade places, me and Kevin, and we would just do them. And it was for me, it was good cardio. I was like, I'm going to maybe lose some weight today.
Are we getting close here?
We're getting down
10
there.
years?
10? No, it would have been probably 8. You need
8?
To keep going,
okay.
Yeah.
Damn it, this thing's loading. Our internet's not
really
that good
slow.
today.
Saw a Slash video on there.
Either way, I would have had to scroll up or down.
Yeah, you got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we started messing with it, and it was just we found our lane. And to me, it was dude, you can't, no one's oh my God, I can't believe CCS is doing YouTube stuff. They already were, clearly, right? It was already there. So it's there's no one out there. But I coming from the mag and going on tour with people and trying to not, your whole goal when you're young and a photographer is to not kook it. That's probably where we started.
What the hell? Watch Gene get hit by 2 cars?
Why are you guys doing that? Was we got a mannequin to wear test CCS pants, and we just threw him off buildings and had him hit by cars and stuff. We were just throwing shit at the wall, right? We just were
or off buildings, yeah.
Off buildings, yeah.
Look at Matt Price right here.
That was
the Brad Cromers.
So I was never supposed to do one, but Kevin rolled his ankle after the first one we did, so I had to do the second one, and this was very hard for me. They got easier as time went on. Oh boy. I proposed to my wife in that Jenkum hoodie.
Yes. Does your wife know what Jenkum actually means?
Oh yeah, we laugh about it all the time. Okay. The fact that we have a video of it.
Man. Oh, but this is really cut together. This is way
Yeah.
primitive to what it is, what it became.
Yeah, I mean, they changed a lot. And we did me and Kevin used to do a bunch of goofy shit where, like, we would do theme one, like, you know, we did one we tag teamed one where we picked a shoe size in between our two shoes. Calm down, Chris.
Easy, buddy.
We picked, like, I'm an 11 and he's a 9, and we picked a 10, and we each did 50, but we dressed up like old WWF wrestlers and did, like, stupid Macho Man voices. And, you know, we leaned into just, like, making goofy shit. Like,
Right.
But we, Kevin, I used to have a skateboard company called Brimley in Arizona, and Kevin rode for that. And, like, we just did goofy shit all the time. Like, we just made stupid skits and just, like, you know, goofy stuff. Look at that hair.
Where is
Putting
this?
that work
Is this
in, man.
This is in Portland.
That's in Portland.
Yeah, it's like the waterfront.
Right.
There's an old video right to the right of me. There's like a downhill, like a thing that goes down to a dock that Brent actually, I think, tray flips into in the old Element video.
Oh, the end is part.
Yep.
Yep.
It's the same spot where he does the best tray flip ever, where he does that. He pushes, and the second his foot touches the tail, he does a tray flip.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Magic.
I think a lot of people got a kick out of these, though. I think that was kind of one big hit that you guys did was this, like, 100 kickflips.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I think it was, and that was a good lesson in, like, oh man, like, you could do 10 things all year and one thing matters more than anything else. You know, it was like these videos kind of helped, and they were fun to make. That's like the best part for me. To this day, if I can do 100 kickflips in a day, I'll be so hyped. It's like an accomplishment.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
But like, this is a good just wear test video too, to show how a shoe breaks down, right?
for sure. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if your shoe doesn't last 100 kickflips, it's not a good shoe.
Did
Yeah.
any shoes not last 100?
Straight up.
Started ripping.
There were a few. If you watch through, there were a few that probably didn't, you know, hold up
Really?
as well as some of the others, and we were pretty
Did
honest
those
about it.
companies come at, they were just like, yo, guys.
No, most of the time
You guys are
they weren't
blown-
bummed. No,
No,
they
okay,
were like,
okay.
most of the time they were like, oh shit, we need to, you know, like, okay, well,
should have been doing this by your,
We got to fix our shit.
should have been doing some
that's why you're like, why didn't you do this?
Right,
Like, you know,
exactly.
I know at like NHS they have a machine probably that
Yeah.
does that shit, right? They have
Right,
the
yeah.
beanbag thing for the boards or whatever. Like, shouldn't you just have a fake foot that does this all day?
Yeah.
But it really points out that,
just
like,
some R&D, guys.
Yeah.
for sure. But the nuance of like a human kickflip, I think, is just so, like, especially a bad kickflip. I think that's almost a better wear test because the majority of people buying these shoes are not going to be good at kickflips.
Right.
So seeing a bad kickflip in it and an inconsistent kickflip, like watching Kelly do 100 tray flips, that probably didn't help sell the shoe. Like, no one's like,
Well, that was awesome because
that's
that was,
how I'm going to skate.
that was awesome because tray flips, you don't really like use your toe that much.
Yeah, yeah.
So like the shoe afterwards was like brand new looking still.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We leaned into, like, that was more of like a clickbait of like, wow, can you do 100 tray flips? You know, sometimes
Yeah.
there were tests that maybe didn't wear test the shoe as much that were just like, oh, this is a cool thing to see. And like kickflip though, but kickflip always did the best because there's more kids on YouTube just searching the word kickflip.
That's true.
Right.
They're
So
just
speaking
like,
of seeing, how many views did this get?
I
Which
mean,
one?
I don't know. That one
The
we just
kickflip
watched.
Oh, kickflips? I mean, they did a bunch of them. Wait, go back really quick,
Like the
Raj,
100
to the
kickflip one.
100 kickflips. Let's see.
No, he did this with like a bunch of different shoes.
Right. No, but that was just one of them. I just was wondering
yeah, yeah.
like what
So
the
like
views on
the
that.
Kader one has a few million, I think, and
That's
like there's a
sick.
few. Like I have one I did in the Ave shoe that got like over like a 500,000 or something.
Yeah, I
which
mean-
it's all out of focus. It's just crazy. There's so much like. It was a big learning experience of like sometimes we put a video up that looked like actual shit and it did 10 times better.
Right.
Wow.
And I'm in there thinking like, are we supposed to make the videos look like shit? I'm like, is this what we do every time now? Like,
It's working.
yeah, it was but I don't know, it was really fun and it was really like kind of just this like innocent. I don't know, we just got to like fuck around and like figure out what would work for what do you do for like an online skate shop in that era, you know? And it was I don't know, it was cool. It was really fun and I still work with CCS to this day, you know, like not full time, but I still do work with them and I love the whole crew over there and like I'm super proud of, you know, what we were able to
Well,
grow.
you helped to grow it.
Yeah, for sure.
time.
We were
Yeah.
all like, you know, we all played a part in kind of like bringing back a brand that I grew up with, you know, that we all grew up with. And the team, you know, like the fact that in the beginning, when I first worked there, it was a real sell to get my good friends to ride for it. I was like, come on, do stuff. You can do fun stuff with me. I'll pay you.
Right.
You just got to ride for CCS. And in the beginning, that was a tough sell. And then by the end, it was like, you know, we made a quick call to Louie and we're like, Louie Lopez, you want to ride for CCS? And he's like, yeah.
You're not even giving him any roll away. I mean, right when he puts his, I don't even know if he landed it.
Chris, it's 100. We can't do like a
I don't even know if he
14
landed any
to
of these,
22-minute
bro.
video. They have to be, you know, concise.
I remember that. That was the day after my birthday too, and I was like,
No, not even any roll away.
Look at all the tries where we were trying to do doubles, and I was behind him, but I bailed mine.
Yeah,
You
did
see
it.
these clips of me rolling up, but I didn't do one. At the very end, I think.
They
I
just
did.
That's actually
they
a
look
good
all
s-
the same.
That's actually a good spot to do a flat ground trick at, though.
yeah,
No.
no, the ground is really
Yeah.
good.
Kelly, that was
That helps a lot.
It was fuck. Tom did 100 kickflips the same day and didn't miss a single one.
That's right.
Thomas Staw.
The S team, yeah, Thomas Staw.
He's good. He's
The
good.
S team is really consistent guys.
And that was awesome. That was fun to do. And I think we went through it like, oh yeah, that was straight 100 right there. I totally like blanked.
Kelly's like, I just blacked out, and then you told me it was 100, and I was like, oh shit.
No, but I like did it in a row. I was like, that's. I don't know.
The funnest part about that was once we got a few under our belt and they had views and we could go show people, then when pros started doing it, it was fun to like implement. Like, I did one with PJ Ladd one time, which was sick, like as a fan, Leo Romero did the first, he was the first pro, which is funny because I just would have thought he would have been the last person on the list I would ask. And he was the first pro to be like, yeah, I'll do that.
He's so dope, bro.
Oh, yeah.
That dude's super down to earth.
Leo's down for sure.
So you guys just did this on your own and then started it. So this was a whole just.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna go ask pro skaters to do this. I wasn't gonna be like, "Hey, we do."
But you were
100
already
kickflips for
in
you.
you were already in.
Yeah, but that's even more. I don't want to get out. I'm like, I don't. They're like, oh yeah,
that would just be your out right
they're like,
there.
Price shot my Skateboard Mag cover, and I think of him in this way. And then today he called me and was like, "Will you do 100 kickflips for a YouTube video for CCS?" Like at that time, I was like scared to make that call to people. I was like, oh, I don't want to be that guy. And like,
It's funny how now, obviously, YouTube is a huge part of skateboarding. And it's interesting now how tables have turned and you want to do something for our YouTube channel. Like,
Sure.
it's a yes.
Of
Like
course.
most of the people want to do stuff.
Yeah.
Because they know they could go out and do a map with Matt Price and do 100 kickflips and get 100,000 views or whatever the case may be.
yeah, there's a
Potentially.
chance. Well, like when you guys started the show, was it hard to get guests?
Instant success.
Sorry, instant. Okay,
Yeah.
never any
Hundreds of
issue.
thousands.
Got it.
Never, yeah. No, we hit the ground running, and obviously, Roger knew everybody from all the mags.
Yeah.
And he's sending out email blasts up to like episode 100 or something, right, Raj?
Yeah.
We just came out with we're weekly, by the way. So we're
That's
coming
true.
out with Roger's sending out, hey, here's a new episode with so-and-so. He's sending it to Thrasher, Skateboard, every media place. Because we wanted to get out there. We wanted them to cover it.
But did you have a lot more no's in the beginning than later on?
No, people were down to post.
Yeah, people were posting.
I think
dude.
people were posting, but at the end of the day, it's weekly. So it got to a point where it was like, hey, just if you're into it, the person, or maybe you're doing something with this at the moment, maybe you could like.
I guess I meant more like the guests, like when you were asking people to come on the show. Was anyone like weary about like what a YouTube podcast? Because when you guys started it, it wasn't nearly as common as it is now.
So obviously we did Kelly the first one, and then it was like our friends Joey, Daniel, Eldridge.
Sure, it was like easy yeses in the
Easy,
beginning.
right? And then everybody from there was like, "This is sick. I want to come on."
They got it.
People, I want to do that, bro. Yeah. Everybody was like, "I want to do this. I want to do this." So,
Everyone.
No, that was fun. That was exciting to look back at those times. 7 years.
Yeah. We didn't. You know what I mean? Like, we're just trying this.
Yeah.
Listen, people were doing podcasts, but I don't know. It just never really. Nobody took it and ran with it yet.
Well, no one puts 8,000 lights up to do it, and that's where you guys really fucking stuck out, I think.
These were RE lights before. It was hella
It used to
hot
be
in here.
really hot. I wish you could see.
Oh, I remember once when like Eric was still like here every night. I don't remember who was on, but I was here once in the very beginning when Eric Longden.
Yep.
Shout out Eric Longden for
Yes.
being
Big
an
help.
OG at the 9 Club.
Dude, for real.
I remember it feeling just like, whoa, this is, and I just remember thinking like, there's so many fucking cameras. And you just edited all of them at the time, and I was just like, this is insane.
I would sit on my couch with a laptop with a hard drive. Yeah, it was horrible.
I remember thinking like, I'll never work this hard. Like I'll never like when I see hard work to that level, I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't even fathom it. I'm like, I'm way too lazy for that.
But also,
shit.
we knew that like YouTube, you have to be consistent.
For
You have
sure.
to be like, this was a thing. Like we were going to go all in. We needed to do one a week. We couldn't just do one whenever we felt like it. And like back then I always made the comparison to like Seinfeld wasn't Seinfeld because they just wanted to put out an episode whenever. People knew what time they were going to be on. They knew they gained an audience. Like it became popular over time. It wasn't an instant success either.
Consistency. And you gotta not be afraid. It's like the YouTube thing. You gotta not be afraid to have 100 views on the first shit you do.
Sure.
Which again, I'm still too afraid of. You
got to throw your ego out the door.
For sure. You gotta,
because you thinking about all that stuff now. Like imagine Tom Asta. He's doing well with his YouTube channel now. You know, he still has a ways to go, but in the very beginning, if he was just like, oh no, I'm only getting a couple hundred views, like,
Yeah,
he wouldn't be where he's at now.
Yeah.
for sure.
And nobody's looking back now and being like, remember Tom used to get 200 views?
Yeah, and
Nobody.
well, no, what's important is the 200 people who are watching Tom are like, I love Tom.
Yes.
And you're like, that's cool. And the next episode, it's 201. And the next episode, it's 200.
This is
you know,
why
like,
you can build a community on YouTube that I think
Yeah.
you cannot build on TikTok and Instagram. Like people are, they're clicking on you because they want to.
for sure. I think, and there's a skating kind of ingrains this like idea in you as someone like, I can talk all day. I like to talk. I'm okay being on camera, like all these things. But it kind of puts you in this place of like, no, you shouldn't do that. You
Right.
should just shut up and like do your thing silently, whether it's skating or taking photos or whatever, you know, for years. And it's like, when you're like, I'm going to point a camera at myself and talk. And it's like, you feel like there's like a whole gallery of people like just aimed up at you like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And that's not the case. No one fucking cares.
Right.
They're all doing their own shit. Like everyone's doing their own shit and they're worried
Everyone's
about themselves.
busy. Yeah.
And like, you're just like, oh no, you've been operating in this mindset of like, everyone in skating is going to look at me forever. Everyone's going to care. And then you do it and you're like, oh, no one fucking cares.
It's
Like,
Well, I
hard
do-
not to, though. We're in such a small industry. That's what's tough, though.
I remember I used to do YouTube stuff like 2011, and I used to get shit from people.
for sure.
Yeah, like they were just like, dude, you're literally crazy for
So
doing
that
that.
discouraged you.
Yeah, and I stopped.
Yeah.
Well, that, again, maybe you were a little too early. But also, the people it's funny because at the time you're like, I got shit from tons of people. In reality, it was probably like 4 people.
Well, it was people that like I was like was
That you
riding
look-
with. I
Yeah,
would
that you
skate
look
with.
up to or you like
Yeah.
respect.
Oh, that it was people that you fucked with, that you skated with.
Yeah, and but honestly, they just didn't understand. It was right when social media was
Well, you-
actually
Yeah.
becoming something.
You
right?
should name them. Are they bad people? We should call them.
No, they're
Just kidding.
no, they're awesome. It's just more of like I think a lot of people didn't see social media coming in like it was.
Yeah. I
Yeah, a
mean,
lot of people were late
I
to
can
it.
see
But
that.
also skateboarding, they
Yeah.
don't want to change.
Exactly.
They're
Yeah.
very stuck
Fucking
in their
hate
ways.
Hate on everything.
Yeah,
yeah,
stuck in their
no
ways.
one wants to change. And they will when it comes time, you know? And I think
They're
that...
forced to at a certain point. Because here's the thing: is like kids coming in, they're always going to be the winners. Like us old farts are, you know what I mean? Like how?
Yeah. We're old, and the last thing we want to do is be old trying to be young. We can all just hope to God that we do something that we actually like to do that maybe someone young cares about.
Right.
Like that's the best chance we have of staying relevant as you get older. You're like, I'm going to do what I like, and hopefully someone that's not, you know, and if it is just old people, that's cool too. Like if it's other people my age that like what I do, that's rad. Someone young is like into what I do, I'm like, whew, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's where like the YouTube shit like saved
Comes
me in
into
a way.
play.
It's like, yeah, there's like a bunch of kids that like now probably maybe found out I shoot photos or whatever because they saw me on YouTube doing this thing. And it's like, I think about it with TV shows, like with, you know, when you're a kid and you're watching like, you know, Dave Summers on, you know, whatever, on like Nickelodeon or whatever, or Mark Summers.
Double
I said
Dare.
Dave. Yeah, Mark Summers on Double Dare. And you're like, you don't think that dude's a fucking kook because he's like out there being all charismatic with a mic or whatever. And then you're older and you're just like, oh shit, it's Mark Summers. He's sick. I remember him from when I was a kid. You know, you don't feel that way. Like maybe Mark Summers' contemporaries who like did Shakespeare or some shit were like, wow, he's doing a kids show. Like,
Right.
how embarrassing. Like, fuck that. Like, it's like, I don't know. It's more important, I think, to just do what feels right. And then, yeah, the next generation will be into it or not, you know?
And who the hell cares, man? Listen, at the end of the day, start something, try something, you know, because you ain't paying rent with opinions. Listen, I
true.
want to, we gotta talk. I want to ask you this question because I think it's interesting. Do you ever have camera madness? Like a skateboarder has madness, like they go through board madness, like my trucks, I gotta find a new shape, I gotta do this. Like, do you ever have camera madness where you're like, oh, this camera, I gotta maybe switch this, or I want to try this camera, or do this, or
No, I don't.
you stick to what you?
Well, for skate photos, I kind of have like my shit down.
Okay.
Like I don't really like. I just have the same camera. I keep the same camera body for a really long time until it's like outdated and there's like a new one that has a better screen or something. You know, it's like I'll probably have the same body for like 5 to 10 years.
Wow.
I had one body for 10 years at one point.
Okay.
But it's like now because it's like, dude, it doesn't matter if your camera shoots like 25 megapixels and it's full frame. Like you don't need anything big. I don't need anything bigger than
Lenses.
that.
Do you ever go through lens stuff? No?
Sometimes once I find what I like, I just kind of
stick
stick
with
with
it.
it. Yeah,
Okay.
like I'm pretty like I like to play with film cameras. I like to buy a ton of weird film cameras and try things out, and I think that's fun. But with that stuff, once I find something that works, because I like to do kind of the same thing a lot. I like the same type of photo. I'm not really trying to. I don't feel like there's a ton of like technical envelope pushing. If there's something that could let me move faster, right? If like I could set up quicker, if tomorrow there was like a flash that was like the same power as the flashes I use, but it was like this big and it had a sticky back on it, and you could just stick it to a wall, for sure, for sure. Because I want to get
Work
my
smarter, not harder.
one smaller. I want my camera bag to be tiny. I want to be able to move quickly with it and get things in and out fast. That was like a old. I remember back in the day because everyone had light stands and Lumidyne flashes, Q flashes before that, and they were they have a battery pack and a cord. And when I was
weight's very important to you. Less weight.
For sure. I want like a tiny backpack, and then because the best shit you're gonna get is the shit that's happening when no one's looking. Always is the shit when you can like. And honestly, like half the stuff I shoot now has no flashes because if you're out with the right skaters and they're just doing cool shit, you just gotta like pull a fisheye out and just start like rifling shit off, and then you'll be like, holy shit, that was a cool photo. And like, or if it's a quick bus spot, like the coolest spot is always gonna be you got 10 minutes. So it's like, all right, do you want to spend 9 minutes setting up flashes and try one photo? Like. I bought a Lumidyne, was like, is the really nice flash everyone shot with Hasselblad stuff. And I bought one once, and it came in the mail. And I opened the one box that was the battery pack. And I took the battery pack out, and it weighed, God, it felt like 20 pounds. And I just looked, I was like, nope. And I put it back in the box, sealed it up, and I just sent it back. I didn't even open the head. I never tested it. I just knew. I was like, dude, there's no way I want this. And I was going to have to get two. I was like, fuck, I don't want, like, again, all respect to photographers who do that. Like Ollie Barton will skate down the street in Barcelona with 2 rolly bags and a backpack and light stands, and he'll make the most beautiful photo you've ever seen. And I just never will. Like, I'm never going to be the guy who makes the most beautiful photo you've ever seen. I'm better off being the guy with like one flash that can be quick and get close, and like you find your lane, and you kind of just
it's still a good shot.
Yes, it's good in a different way. It's dirty. Like it's dirty. Like everything. Like I don't fucking like. I'm not clean and like I'm not filthy. I don't smell bad. But like I'm not like a really like. I see people that are like so fresh, and I'm like, fuck, I'm so jealous. I wish I could be so fresh, but like just not, and I won't be, and that's okay.
What kind of camera do you use now?
Canon 5D Mark IV is what I use for most skate photos. And that's like just a full frame Canon SLR, and I have like Canon lenses and Zeiss lenses, and that Canon fisheye, the zoom one. That's my secret.
Sweet. Well, did someone who had wait, so like
gather your thoughts, Kelly.
I'm just trying to think. How did you learn? Who did you learn from? Like, who do you think Swift taught you the most? Do you think?
As far as cameras or photography, like I feel like I just learned from watching the guys on skateboardphotography.com were the guys who taught me. Like there was like my friend Chase Wilson, Scott Dukes was a rollerblade photographer. Now he shoots a lot of like cars, and he shoots like big boy photos now, and he's a retoucher. And Bastianel, who is the dude who started skateboardphotography.com. Those are the people that I actually learned. They would have like little diagrams on there where they'd be like, they'd show you a skate photo and they'd be like, this is where the skater was, this is where the photographer was, this is what his lens was, this is where the 2 flashes or 3 flashes were, what power they were.
What are they making?
That's a dope
They're
breakdown.
drawing this?
Yeah, they draw it. I've done it for people. When Mike Stanfield bought still photo equipment years later, I literally would make him the same things and send them to him, and that's how he learned how to shoot still photos. Was like I was just redoing what I learned from skateboardphotography.com.
Does that website still exist?
Nope.
It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
I never even heard of it.
I never. I mean, we weren't photographers,
But
there's no reason
still,
why we should.
I
Hear
guess
it
you
was
hear
niche.
Yeah,
You remember it, right, Jay? Yeah.
JC.
JC 's on
JC
it?
remembers it. Yep.
What was your username?
I never had like an actual name.
Oh,
Were you on
were-
Skate
you were a
Perception
lurker.
afterwards?
More of a skate perception, dude. I was a lurker.
So Skate Perception was like the next generation after skateboardphotography.com, and it was like half filming, half photography kind of. It was more skate media. I wasn't on there as much because I'd gotten my job already. I was like the dude who graduated from skateboardphotography.com and actually made it and got like a job. Like it was the kind of the first one. Like I was the first, came up through that
Sure.
from not knowing what I was doing, learned through the website and through the critique of the community. And like
That's
I
so
said,
interesting.
they were mean,
Very.
dude. They're a dark. Looking
But
back,
don't you
I was
think
like,
that helped you though?
Yeah, probably for sure. But
Helped
also
them-
like
helped them get better.
it helped
Yeah,
me get better. Yeah, it helped me want to get better, and I wanted to prove them wrong for sure.
Yeah.
Did you know who the people were initially? Most of them.
No.
Oh, so it was like kind of like Slap. It's just like under like you have some random ass name and they're just talking shit.
They like post their photos so you'd know like, oh, they shoot here. Like I knew my friend Chase lived in Southern California because he shot Southern California spots. I'd see he would go to like a famous spot and shoot it. But like, yeah, you didn't know most of the guys I was talking, because we all became friends and we'd like instant message and stuff. And like AIM was huge for me in learning how to shoot skate photos and becoming like involved in skating, because I feel like I would aim with so many people. I think I like AIM messaged, or I MySpace messaged in the very beginning with like Donnie Barley, because he was the first pro I ever shot with. And like we MySpaced about like, let's go shoot, because he met me on this New York trip in Arizona where I was showing people around, and then we MySpaced and we're like, let's work on something, and like me and Scheckler used to aim when we were young. Like,
Did you ever aim the man skater?
That was me.
You were the man skater?
The man skater, yeah.
Damn, no. I was questioned for life, and I never aimed with the man skater.
It's so funny to me, this aim thing. Like, how would we get people's aim?
I don't even remember. I think Scheckler was on an Etnies trip, and like it was like kind of now where you'll trade Instagrams with someone. Yeah. It was like very common. It was like, oh yeah, we'll aim. Like it was
Here's
like,
my aim.
Yeah.
If you were like a teenager in that era, you would just like aim, and it was like come home every day from school, get on aim. You talk to the same people you talk to all day at school about the same shit. But also I was talking to all these skate photographers. Half of them were in like Berlin and like France. And like then I had friends in Southern California and all over, but it was like this great connecting tool where we would and you could send files. They were shitty low res files, but you could send a photo back and forth. So like
Crazy.
It would just be like, here's the photo I posted, but here's the other 3 from the session. And I would get feedback from like 5 friends immediately. And they'd be like, what about this? What duration were you at? Like all these questions that I was like, what the fuck is duration? Like you built like a community, because that's the best way to learn anything is build a community.
Sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, I still owe like I still shoot this handrail angle that Scott Dukes shot of a rollerblader back in the day. He used to shoot for the Daily Bread, which was the rollerblade mag. I don't know if you guys remember that. They were like the trans world of rollerblading.
Oh yeah, the Daily Bread.
Daily Bread. And yeah, Scott shot this handrail angle that I always loved, and I still to this day will shoot it.
Is
on
it the
rails.
one that's like right on the handrail, looking down?
It's not. It's so what it is it's you're at the top of the stairs and you go catty corner, and the top of the rail is in the top right corner, and the bottom of the rail.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the bottom left, and you basically the rail splits the frame catty corner, and then the skater is in like an empty space in the sky, and the stairs are on the bottom. It creates this like quadrant effect kind of thing, or this like 2 halves. It's really good. He did it the best, but
I'm trying to think of this one photo that you had it was so good. We'll try to find it.
you'll have to be more specific, Chris.
Have you guys shot
it was
photos?
a good photo.
Have you shot photos with everyone here or on the show right now?
I've never shot Geron. No, I've only shot you, I think, in this room. I don't think I've shot Chris or Geron.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Damn.
I would never let you.
and I haven't shot JC. He won't let me.
Dude, one of the funniest, actually, it was not that funny when we were doing it. Remember we're on that S trip and we got some fireworks in the middle of.
Yeah.
We were like, I don't know where we were.
New Mexico. I
New
think.
Mexico.
Yeah.
And we stopped to get some fireworks, and we're having a good time. And I'm not really into that stuff, whatever. But you get a Roman candle.
What, you're above fireworks? I was like, I don't really mess with those sort of things.
I don't know, because I'm legitimately kind of scared, like that something bad's
All right,
gonna happen
all right.
and like blow
Yeah.
up, But you just start get a Roman candle. You're like, yay, this is fun. And then lo and behold, there's a huge field next to us. It was just weeds,
Oh, catch fire.
dude. In matter
It was
of
nuts.
seconds,
Ra-
it just woof.
Raj,
like-
it's in the SUSA tour.
Yeah, I think right.
USEHA, because it was a US and Canada tour.
Yeah.
It's on there. Dude, that was nuts. It was like, the clip is funny. Like, I've seen it, obviously, because people have sent it to me and stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it was summer, like a summer tour. I'm in board shorts and flip-flops. And I've never shot a Roman candle in my life. And I was like, I feel like Harry Potter. And I'm shooting a fucking Roman candle. And all of a sudden, someone's like, uh-oh. And this field just starts like, it was so fast. Like, it burned like half of the field in like 30 seconds.
You guys were
Dry
out,
as
huh?
shit.
No,
Hey,
I don't
you
know
stopped
why.
around?
No,
Dude, so you know what happened? And I'll never forgive Scuba to
Look
this
at
day.
this forest fire we just set. Let's
Dude.
stick around.
So the little kids who work inside the firework store, there was like 2 like 10-year-olds, and I guess they're junior firefighters, and they came out and they're like, it's a fire. And the firefighters came and they let the kids put it out because it was such a tame fire.
okay.
But we hung around, and I was in the van like hiding. And at one point, I just see Scuba walking up with the cops, and he's just pointing at me. And I was like, Scuba, you could have just said, we don't know who did it.
What happened?
No, but they were so used to that. It was crazy how
It was so
just-
turnkey. They were like, yeah,
Clockwork, dude.
don't, because
Easy.
it's an empty field next to a fireworks store. Like, I'm sure we're not the first.
what was it called again?
The fireworks store?
No, the tour.
USA, but the A was like EH.
Yeah.
US
EH, like USA.
USAH.
EH, no?
EH.
USEH.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It was an S tour. Yeah.
I had like some random people that like for a few years at like demos, like it was usually moms that, because that thing was licensed to Fuel Channel or Fuel, Riot? No, which Fuel.
Okay, yeah.
Fuel was the TV channel that showed skate shit.
Yeah.
So Soltech licensed that video to Fuel, and that played like just regularly on Fuel. And I had a few random moms for some reason with a young kid be like, "Oh my god, we watch you light the field on fire. It's so funny." And I'm just what?
Raj cannot find this.
It's
dude.
on. It's definitely online, dude. It's definitely there.
Raj,
That's all right. We'll
wait,
find it
are
one
we?
day.
Is it UESEH?
Oh yeah, maybe it's the letter U-E-S-E-H.
Yeah.
That would be the.
Maybe that is.
Yeah,
That sounds like some Don Brown shit. That's a pun for sure.
It's definitely on the S website or YouTube. I mean,
yeah. Either way, that was a fun trip though.
that was really fun. I can't believe how fast that thing spread. It was like, oh no, and then it was, oh my god.
I never understood like the whole expression of like it spread like wildfire until like that. I remember that
That
day
was
thinking
it.
like, oh, that's how
That's
fast
what
it
it is.
happens. It's like it's
Dude.
nuts.
When we were filming the Pretty Sweet and the palm tree caught on fire.
Yeah.
Dude,
Remember
I was there that day.
Dude, how funny was that? Where I forget who it was. Maybe it was Corey Kennett. Somebody, because there were fire extinguishers in the van. Right before that, by the way, I was like, man, that palm tree's really dry, man. I hope that- and then boom, all of a sudden, boom, fire.
Was that when you were in the horse, like the horse costume, or the donk? Was there was like a donkey costume or something?
I
Or
you
you weren't in it,
there,
but you
no.
were next to it. Maybe there was someone
don't
in a
remember.
horse costume. It
But
was
somebody went to go get the fire extinguisher in the van. They pull the fire extinguisher out. They take 2 steps, look up, turn back around, put the fire extinguishers back because it was just
It's
no
not gonna
way.
work.
What are
Yeah.
you gonna do?
Shoot
Yeah.
in the air.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no.
It was the funniest stuff.
It went up
man.
so
Yeah, it was
fast.
so
Real
it-
quick.
But it just goes to show how the fire ain't no joke.
No,
you don't mess around with fire. It spreads so quickly.
we're very lucky we didn't hurt anybody with these fires because we were being reckless and stupid, and we should all be careful around fire.
No doubt.
Well, we can't find it, so
That's all right.
we'll have to like. If we do find it, maybe we'll put a link in the description or something. U-S-E-A. I mean,
We're
I'm
gonna figure this out, dude. We are gonna
It's-
figure it out.
U. What is it?
S like ES and then A like EH.
E-H. Yeah,
Chris,
it's not
Chris,
coming
do you
up.
know who shot the Roman candle that lit the palm tree on fire? Do you?
It must have been you.
No, no.
Oh, who shot it?
It was-
Oh,
it
who
was
shot
Academy Award-winning director.
it? Yes.
Oh, Spike.
Spike.
Yeah.
And I remember that day being like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Out of all the people that could have lit a palm tree on fire, it was incredible.
I
What
mean, it
did
was
he-
kind of in the middle of nowhere. It
Was
was
it
like
a Roman candle? How did
It
you
was
get
a big explosion, I think.
But it was something that shot like little pellet. But it was like not trying to shoot at the palm tree. It just happened to like the palm trees get furry
Yep.
around the bit. It was just caught in the fur and it just
That whole thing that went up quick.
it was really
Yeah, it
scary.
did.
Yeah, maybe I'm looking forward to. It's up there. It's just in different parts. I don't know where it is though.
Oh,
It's in different segments.
Raj is
I don't-
having a hell of a time, man.
Either way.
It's not as easy to find as the pole cam, but yeah, that was fun. Yeah, so I've shot with Kelly a lot. We've
Yeah,
been
we
on a
got
lot of
some-
trips. We've done some miles together.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever been on a trip. I don't think you were ever on some chocolate trips or
No.
girl trips or like anything.
I wasn't in the mix with those guys with that crew until later on. I feel like until like because Mike Mo was like I was younger, so like Mike Mo was another AIM friend. We used to AIM all the time,
Right.
and like talk on. I don't know how that started, but we were just AIM buddies, and like I would go to Simi Valley and stay with him at his parents' house, and so that's when I started shooting with that crew of people a little more was through him. So we just
Any incidents? Any camera equipment stolen? Anything?
whew, knock on wood. I little ones, not anything big. Never like
okay.
a whole bag. I've had like
okay.
my car broken into and like maybe like small point and shoot stolen. I had a few cameras stolen when my apartment got broken into once.
Oh shit!
It was actually crazy. I was moving out of the apartment and I was in there like cleaning up and stuff before the day. I was moving the next day, and I had really bad allergies from all the dust and shit. So I think I took like a bunch of Benadryl or something that knocked me out.
Oh no!
Passed out on the couch in my living room, and my roommate wasn't home that night, so it was just me solo. And there was a window that was broken in the front. Someone broke skating, and then we had a piece of wood over it, but it wasn't bolted or anything. In the night, someone had pushed that wood in, moved the couch, come into the living room, must have seen me sleeping on the sofa, freaked out, just grabbed 2 cameras that were on the table and ran out the back door. Because I woke up the next morning and I saw the couch pushed out, and I was like, And I look and the door was open from the kitchen, like the back door, and I was like, that's weird. And then I looked at the table and I was like, what was there? I'm like trying to like piece it all together, and I'm like, holy shit. And I like, the story was right there. It's like they came in, oh shit, grabbed shit, ran out the back. My whole camera bag was sitting next to the back door too, and they didn't grab it.
Thank
They
God.
just grabbed whatever they could right away.
Yeah, I think they were just like, oh shit, 2 cameras that they could, but one was a nicer camera. But I was like, thank God they didn't like get scared and like try and hurt me or something. Like
Right.
For sure.
I must have just slept through the whole thing.
I think when a skater, I mean, I've never had this happen to me, but getting the cover of a magazine, it's the same for a skater as a photographer. I think it's
For sure.
it's a huge. I mean, when you first got your first cover,
Yeah.
Aaron Susky 5-0 in Arizona, I believe, right?
In Tucson, yeah.
I mean, did they tell you? Did they surprise you? I mean, how did that even go down?
Yeah, we knew I think we knew it was a cover already.
Okay.
Like it was like he's getting a big interview. We had shot this whole interview. It was like they wanted to give him a cover, and it was like, okay, cool. We knew we were shooting for the cover, so it wasn't super surprising. But yeah, I think to your point, it was like it's a huge deal. Like there's been certain covers I've had that have felt like a bigger deal to me because like the skater, it depends on the trick. Like if the skater's doing some like that 5-0 is really gnarly. That's a cover trick.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not necessarily a cover trick. Sometimes it's just a cover photo, and you're like, ooh, I feel like that was my cover. You know, maybe that's cocky or shitty to feel, but like sometimes you feel special. Like, oh, I did something that maybe helped that be a cover versus like the trick being the cover. But I think in general it is. It's like you feel like the feeling must be exactly the same when you see it and hold it. You know, as a skater, as a photographer, because you're like, it's the thing I do on the cover. And there's no better feeling than that, than it being on of anything. Like holding a CCS catalog with a cover photo on it is like, whew, sick. Like, you know, it just feels good. It could be like make your own zine off the printer at home and you hold it and you're like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get that
nice.
feeling right away when you shoot it? When you shoot a cover like a cover like that? Like, or sometimes it like over time, like, oh, dude, this might be a good cover.
I have a few times with certain things. If it's the right person, I shot this cover of David Gonzalez doing also in Tucson, the triple kink hubba that Rowley 50'd back in the day.
Yep.
He lip slid that, and which is fucked, and it was like David kind of in his and I shot that, and I was like, oh, that could be a cover. Like I knew like
Wait, which cover was it? Maybe Raj could find it.
David Gonzalez lip slide for the Skateboard Mag. It was the quadruple or triple kink, bunch of kinks.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, oh, this is because I wasn't the dude who shot with like the cover skaters that often or got the cover tricks. Like I was in Arizona shooting like a stylish ollie with Levi Brown. You know, it wasn't necessarily like a Tebow was out with P-Rod and he was like switch flip back lipping a rail. Like that's going to be the cover. Right. So when I happened to be with someone like David and I was like, oh shit, that's a cover trick. And, you know, I crossed my fingers and you're like, oh, that would be cool. And it's sick that one worked out, you know, and I've had like an Ethan Fowler cover that was cool because it was just like Fowler's a legend, you know, like, oh, we got to get Fowler cover, you know, and like I shot a Nick Trapasso cover that I knew was going to be a cover.
Oh, wow.
There's a few that like I knew, you know, you're working towards a cover. But the Ryan Lay one we talked about earlier was a total surprise. That was just like photo annual. The Marty Morawski photo annual cover was also just like, I just turned in some weird shit for the photo annual and you just hope that it gets run.
That was it.
So
It's really fun when it's kind of like, you know, in secrecy. Like when it was a black box still before I was the photo editor, before I got inside the editorial kind of staff, you're just sending photos and you just, most of the time you're like, well, I hope they go in the mag. And then when all of a sudden someone sends you a photo of a cover, you're just like, what?
Well, it's almost like you become the surprise or, right? When you're like, hey, we got this cover coming in. Hey, here's your cover. You're now presenting it. You already know you're presenting it to the skater now. Yeah,
it's like you get surprised and then you get to hype them up. I remember when the Ryan Lay cover, I think Swift or someone texted me a photo of it. Or no, it wasn't Swift because he would have wanted me to see it in person first. Someone sent me a photo and I was with like we were at Chipotle or something on an iPath trip and I was with Ryan and I was like, holy shit, and like we looked at it and it was like that was a really fun moment because like Ryan's just another friend from like Mesa, Arizona, and at the time he was like relatively unsponsored. Like he just was on iPath as like maybe even Flow or an AM or something, and so it was like really cool to get a cover. You know, I think it's like
that's amazing.
Like you said, like you not like certain people that have been in the skate industry for decades and had tons of coverage haven't managed to time that right. Or whatever, get the right trick at the right time to end up on a cover.
Well, I kind of know why I never ended up on a cover. I was more of a sequence skater.
I mean,
manual pads, ledges, like it was more sequences. I don't remember really shooting that many stills.
I mean,
You had that really good one at the beach, the
Fakey 5-0?
Yeah.
Oliver Barton.
Best still of a Fakey 5-0 of all time.
Yeah, that
Thank
one's
you.
really good.
Oof,
Oliver
guy,
Barton.
yeah.
The best.
That could have been a cover.
That could have actually.
Could have, sure. What was that used for? Just a regular old...
Was that an ad?
No,
I think it was just in Skateboarder, maybe.
It was-
No,
shot?
it was in Skateboarder. I just saw it in that new man, the Sam Muller does, the 2001. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
There's you have a photo in there, that same photo. They did like a whole thing on Oliver Barton.
Oh, sick.
And that photo's in there.
Okay.
It's pretty sick.
And it looks great.
But it was all mainly sequences.
Well, that's we used to joke with Marty because Marty was like my dude. I shot with more than anyone, and the joke was like his dream was to get a cover, but like how the fuck were we gonna do that? You know? And we always joke like if I get my cover, it's gonna be like I'll figure out a tall front nose or like, you know, like the few like still tricks he had. And then the cover he ended up getting was just a big old backside flip on a hip that just like I shot it real weird and it just kind of looked like funky, and it ended up being a cool photo annual cover. And we were so hyped because we always had like joked about him getting a cover, but like you never will. You know, it's like you're not.
Well, he was also kind of a sequence skater as well.
Way more, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Just everything he did was so technical. When
Yeah.
the skating you do is like there's so many pieces of it to show, which is like also it's a fun thing now to shoot technical skating and figure out what the important parts are, because it's like back in the day it was like you'd have a 20 frame sequence in a mag. And that was because, no one had ever seen this trick before. The mag is going to be the first place to break it. It's different now. So you're like, are there 3 frames of that sequence that look cool? Like, just show those 3,
Right.
you know? Is it a still that... Do you see the still of Yuto doing the nollie 270 heel board slide or lip slide? I don't even know what you call that.
No, I didn't see the still.
The one in the last trick?
Yeah. The photographer shot a still of it, which I love.
really?
Yeah, I loved. I was like, that's so sick. You just shot a still of it.
Was it a sequence and he pulled the still out of it, or is it?
I didn't see a sequence. He just had it flashes at lights, like he like lit a photo,
Hold
and it's him
on.
like catching the Nollie
That's pretty
270
sick.
heel,
Yeah.
and it looks like so confusing, but also you can kind of tell. I just love that he shot a still of
We
it.
gotta
I think
look at
that's
it. We
sick.
gotta find that, dude. That's it. I've never. What did he post it on his Instagram? Where did you see this?
Nike or Yuto or someone posted it, I think, on the. Which, by the way, I gotta admit, when I saw the still and saw the caption, I was like, I think that's too much. Like, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like that. And then I watched the clip and I was like, wow.
Oh, you saw the photo first.
I saw the photo first and like read what he did, and I just was like, because sometimes you can go too far with tech skating.
Well, it's like that name, Nollie 270 backside heel flip to board slide or whatever you want to call it. You know, like,
yeah, it didn't sit well. Not again, all respect for Days, but then I saw the clip and I was like, dude, he made it look sick.
that was insane.
I was like,
Yeah.
it actually looked really.
It was incredible.
It had like it had what I wanted out of it, and I was
Yeah.
like, wow, fuck, that was cool.
That is a cool, because you've never seen that trick before.
Yeah.
So to see a still of it is wow. That is
That's
dope,
kind
dude.
of, but you can tell kind of what's happening, and like I just like it when people like that shouldn't be done, right? Like according to every rule of how you document skateboarding, like you shouldn't do that. But it's so sick that he just did it. Like I like when people just break the rules like that. Like I don't know.
You should.
Yeah, it's cool. And that trick is like, I don't know, like fucking, it's so nuts. But
Yeah.
yeah, I like that clip a lot more than I should have probably. Just because, again, sometimes when skating is so much happening, you get so overwhelmed and you can't like see. I don't even know what it is. Whatever you're looking for in a skate clip, sometimes you miss it because there's too much trick happening. But that was just like, wow, he made all the trick happen and it looked sick.
I didn't see this.
amazing.
This is amazing. Yeah.
Going back to what you were saying before, like as far as like, there hasn't been too many sequences on covers, right? There's only been
Guy.
a guy that
Eldridge.
we just saw.
Donnie Barley and LD.
Eldridge had the nollie heel
Yes,
nose grind,
nose
skateboard mag.
It's been very rare
Yeah.
to have a sequence.
What was the caption of that? It was so funny because they had a yellow tint over it and it said like, Justin Eldridge gets all lemony with this nollie heel nose grind. It was like a Lemony Snicket reference because maybe that movie just came out or something,
Oh,
and
I
it
don't
was like
remember.
super. I don't know why I always remember that, but that was a sick one. My first mag I ever owned was a sequence cover, Donnie Barley switch hard flip Santa Monica triple set.
Ooh,
Trans
was a good
World.
one.
that was
Yeah,
gnarly.
sick.
Tiba shot it. I have a signed copy of it.
Wow.
Yeah, Kevin Marks at Lookback Library had one, and he had he has everyone sign their covers all the time. He was at a trade show and he had a stack of all these mags, and like he had 3 of them that Donnie had signed. And I was like, I'll pay you whatever for that.
Wow.
So I bought it from him and I got it. It's like in the archive.
That's
Dude, shout out
super
Kevin
sick.
Marks on, dude, that dude's awesome.
Dude, doing God's work. That's
Yeah.
fucking like no one cares about printed skateboard media as much
Right.
as Kevin Marks does, and he just has like he's on a whole other wavelength where he is just he has a focus that I can't even I'm jealous of. He is just like down to like the most crazy regional mag. Like he'll just be like, we're doing a cover discussion with so and so, and they're like, remember that time you got on Poop Butt Zine out of like fucking Albany, New York, and they're like, how did you what? Like, and he's got it somehow, and you're like, wow, you just he digs it all up. It's crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah. God bless him. There's got to be. I mean, it's somebody's got to do it.
For sure. He's kind of like the closest thing skateboarding has to like a Nardwar.
Yeah.
You know
that-
the dude Nardwar? Yeah.
That dude's gnarly. He goes up to any rapper and just goes like, brings up the past and be like, dude, how did you know
For
that?
sure.
How did you know I used to wear a red beanie when I was
Right.
like 5
Yeah.
years old? Like,
That's like, and Kevin Marks is like, Tom Asta, you were on the cover of Poop Butt Zine in 2001. And he's like, what? How did you find that? Like, it's like the closest thing we have to that where you're like, you really just cared that much and you're that dug into all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and he has, every now and then he'll hit me up or like want something, and he catalogs all I do this
oh my
little mag.
gosh, look at that.
Dude, yeah, it's so sick.
That's
And
impressive,
The
man.
libraries he does at different like shops and stuff. Like there's one at Cowtown in Arizona. There's the Skate Lab one. Like it's all designed to be like open. Open use to be like you can just go and spend a whole day there looking at shit. And that's I don't know. It's really cool.
Dude, I'd hit him up, and I don't even remember what magazines I was in. I'll be like, hey, do you remember, for some reason, like I had an ad or something? And he'll just be like, boom, it's right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, he just pull, you're like, How did you even think of knowing that?
He's got I think he has an encyclopedia brain or something. Because
Yeah.
he's got
Like
one of those
archived like that.
Yes, yeah.
Well, he's living and breathing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he
still
came and dropped it
knowledge.
off at my house. It's super nice.
He'll always come to you because he lives in that van.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if he lives there full time, but the van is set up to live in. So he's just where do I need to be and when? You know,
Yeah.
he's just on it, and it's cool because I think printed skate media, there's a bit of a resurgence right now on a smaller scale, which is really, really cool, right? There's a bunch of rad smaller mags that do, everyone's realizing to make a magazine, you don't have to make 100,000 copies. They're like, I can just make 1,000 of these or 500 of these, and it's still impactful. It's still important. The people that want to see it. And so then a bunch of people I think have been like, oh, sick. Yeah, we're going to make our own little 1,000 copy mag or 500 copy mag. But, the way that things are going, it's just not ever going to be what it was. You'll never have as much print because print was the news and it's not the news. So for people like Kevin to be caring about it so deeply, to just be oh, this is a magical era from these 25 years or 30 years or whatever, where there was tons of this. Let's collect as much of it as we can to make sure it doesn't get thrown away or burned up or whatever the hell happens. And he's just putting it in places where it will be kind of cherished. And I think that's I'm jealous that it's almost like that selfless pursuit of something bigger than you. And I'm like, damn, I don't have that.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, that's really it's cool.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, skateboarding is an ever-changing beast,
Yeah.
I mean, through the 80s and 90s and everything. But it's kind of interesting that it took a turn when social media came about. And I've said this recently, too, is it went from the skateboard companies, helping the skater. Oh, here, we need this ad. We need this. We're filming for this video. They had everything lined up for you. And now it's kind of switched where it's they're looking for the skater to help them produce
They're going after the skaters who already have everything lined up.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're
Right.
like, oh, you already got your shit figured out? Okay,
Totally.
well, we'll pay you and you ride for us now.
Exactly.
Which, it's interesting that some of the brands are in between. They find a skater who's got a following. People love them. They know, they kind of have their lane. They know what they do. But then they're still trying to grab that skater and be like, no, you need to come on tour in the van and do the things the way we do them and fit into this mold that we have. And some of these new skaters didn't come up like that. And they're just not into it. I've seen it a few times with skaters who I think are really sick, and a brand just hasn't understood what the magic is about this skater, and they're kind of pushing them into a mold. And then they're like, dude, that skater's kind of whack. They didn't work out for us. They weren't down for this or this. I'm like, yeah, but that's not why you sponsored them, because they did this. Why don't you just let them, if they don't like to travel,
They're losing sight of what's
special
about
Yeah.
that
Definitely.
person.
and you're like, if they don't want to travel, then but you love what they do, then just give them a budget with a filmer in their hometown and let them make stuff for you. It's
Right.
this old school mindset of we need to plug them into the classic industry mold. And sometimes that works and it's cool, but especially when you're talking about non-traditional skaters, you're talking about, people who come from marginalized groups who haven't felt comfortable in the skateboard industry, and they're just for whatever reason are well, they just are oh, I don't want to do it like that. That's not how I've ever done it. It's not how I feel good doing it. And sometimes the brands get it and they're like, do your thing, we support. And sometimes they're like, oh, you can't come in and act the way that we need you to act for this situation.
Straight up.
And they're like, well, then we can't fuck with you. And you're like, that's not how it's done. You really need to how you came up in skating and in the industry is different than how this person came up in skating in the industry. And you need to
Totally.
listen and understand, because what you like about them, you see something special in them. That comes from how they came up. Listen, let them kind of help dictate how you showcase them, because they're going to be better at explaining that to you than you are.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I think it's hard. I think it's hard when you have your programs built up and you're like, we do 4 tours a year and we do this and that. And it's you bring a dope skater on your trip and they're like, well, they didn't get any clips. We took them to fucking Paris for 2 weeks and they didn't get clips. And you're like, well, yeah, look at the spots they skate at home.
Right.
Look who they skate with at home. Look who you put them with. Look at the filmer you put. They can't, not everyone can just snap into a mold, and I think that's Instagram and, people kind of building their own channels and stuff has added to this weird piece of the industry where you're just getting more and more people like that. And I think brands need to understand a little better to just be yeah, we think you're dope. Here's support and do what you do, but do it for us.
Totally.
I think it's I don't know.
Do you think brands are going to be around? I think they will, but I think that there is a different direction now from just what you were just saying right there.
For sure. I think they always will, because I think when
Some
someone
skaters don't need brands.
Exactly.
They are their own brand.
At this point.
Yeah.
But when they have the juice, all they want to do is make a brand, because they want to
Right.
support community. Like you look at, like, Shane could just be Shane O'Neill Skateboards.
Sure.
But Shane is April Skateboards, and he puts on Uto, and he puts, it's like that's the natural inclination of people. Like when they have the ability, no one just wants to be alone in a vacuum. No one wants to just be like ShaneO'NeillSkateboards.com and just like filming in his product. He could tomorrow. He could put out a park edit every day for the next year, sell more boards than anyone. He could do this whole thing, but he doesn't want to do that. He wants to build a brand, because a brand, in a lot of ways, is like, it's a community. It's like you build this, it's a scene, it's a group of friends, it's like something people can aspire to. No one aspires to be by themselves.
Not
Everyone
at all.
aspires to be part of like a group of like-minded people. So
As much as this is not a team sport, like we need teams in order to I don't know, just build a better brand. Like it's hard to build a brand with just one dude.
for sure.
No,
You know
it's-
what I
yeah.
mean?
For sure.
So having multiple people that do different things, it just it sheds light on. There's more to just
Totally.
this guy.
Yeah.
He's got a plethora of guys.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that being said, like you can do that and not have to have everyone, like everyone doesn't have to be best friends with everyone. Like you probably don't want people that hate each other on the team, but there might be two people on the team that click really well, and you're like, cool, send them to Paris together, or send them to Australia together, and let them do their thing with the filmer they trust. Like it's like figuring out, it's a little bit fragmented sometimes. Let them make a video, and then maybe, because everyone's so caught up in this, like we need the full length, we need the whole crew, we need everyone to be, and that's ideal. If that works,
Totally.
that works. I think everyone looks back at old Girl Chocolate, and things like that, and brands, or you see Anti-Hero, and it's like, that's everyone's in the same boat.
But any brand, that's what it's been about for
Exactly,
years.
yeah.
And now, obviously with the new generation, and obviously big up to them, because at the end of the day, they're moving forward on how they need to move forward. That's
sure.
that's what they feel they need to do.
Yeah.
But all in all, this has been a team sport in a sense of like, it's not a team sport, but we love our camaraderie amongst our amongst our peers. You know what I mean? And when someone's filming and fucking everybody comes around you and is like saluting you, man, that's like the best. That's one of the
sure.
best feelings ever. You
For
know
sure.
what I mean? So that camaraderie is always going to be there. I don't think that that's going to change anytime soon. But I definitely see the individuality of where people's mindsets are. You know what I mean? It's all about them, and I need my recognition. But it's at the end of the day, dude, I think we all help each other when you are together.
Well, that's why I was saying earlier kind of about how it shifted from the companies. You need the companies to survive in this industry, but now it's the companies need the skater more than ever now.
Yeah.
The companies are depending on the skater for all the assets that they deliver.
Yeah.
Where it used to be, we're going on this trip where we need this ad. You're doing a Thrasher ad. We're doing this Transworld ad. We're doing.
Yeah.
We're going to put all the mags.
Yeah, you're going with this person to shoot for this.
Yeah.
He's shooting your interview, and you're going here, and then you're getting
You're
your
doing
ad
an
with this
interview,
person.
yeah.
We're
You're doing
setting
a
all this
Transworld
stuff.
video. We're doing
Yeah,
this. Like,
it's definitely like
Transworld video.
like you said. I think team is like. Community is probably a better word, is whatever.
Yeah,
probably,
yeah,
it's not, I'm the guy who's like, it's not a team, it's a community. But but really, that's
But I
when-
skated for a team.
Exactly, you skated for a team,
I skated-
and
yeah.
it becomes your community. And like you said, when people are like hugging you and dapping you up after you get a trick, it's like, oh yeah, that's because that's my crew, right? That's like they're there to support me. And I think that everyone has. Sometimes people have their own. That's not part of the brand or the business. Sometimes the business can cultivate that if everyone happens to be in the same place.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like going with the flow of it. And some teams will be that. Some teams will be able to get 10 deep in a van with 2 filmers and a photographer and a TM, and that's the vibe.
Yep.
And then some teams are going to have like a couple like splintered pieces of these 2 here and these 2 there, and they film with this person and that person. And you got to figure out how to make it work based on the skating
Totally.
and the skaters that you're excited about, I think. So it's just like it's just kind of adapting to this new way of doing it.
Changing the old ways, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah,
like
for
you just said,
sure.
adapting, it's important.
And not forcing people to like adapt to fit into like an old, it's like the square peg in the round hole. Like
Right.
if it's not working, but you still see value in a skater and you like want to support them, then just think about just think creatively about it. It's not this like plug and play.
Right.
It's not this like, oh, if they don't do this, then they don't have a part of the, they're not in this. And it's like, no. It's
Yeah,
not.
I mean, just
No,
look
I
at how
think it's
Powell is
for
doing
sure.
it. Powell is doing it with, they have had their own little YouTube little division,
Sure,
right?
yeah, yeah.
That is doing their thing. They are collabing and
Yeah.
stuff. So
YouTube Brigade.
YouTube Brigade, yeah.
Yeah,
for
I mean
real.
that's like it's
But
a
they're
very,
embracing that, they're enabling them
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do all that.
Yeah.
but it's like it's kind of I don't know if this sounds mean or not because I like PAL obviously, but it's like get in where you fit in. It's like where's your place in it's like if PAL was trying to like, you know, like make Bill Strobeck videos like that would, like no, that's not the right move for PAL. PAL should be doing YouTube Brigade because it's just like that's what makes it like it's not bad or good. It's all different, you know? Yeah. And it's like do that. Like that's what what I learned at CCS was like we're not going to try and make, you know, videos. We're not trying to make baker videos. Well, what's the point? Like that's not what people are asking for from us. No one expects that from us. It's like, yeah, figure it out. And they have their own PAL's rad because PAL can exist in the skate industry, the greater skate industry, but like you could be a person who pays attention to like 90% of the skate industry and you might not see much of what PAL does because you're also not the person who's buying PAL products. They're talking to like their people and you're like, that's fine. That's like
and everyone, those people are there.
Yeah. Everyone should be, it's like find the people you want to talk to and talk to them. It's like, I think everyone gets caught up in trying to talk to the same people or fight for that same like group of people to be like, no, these are the skaters we want. And it's like, there's a lot of skaters, man.
Definitely.
Like you don't have to, you know, like get in where you fit in, find your lane and just kind of like let it happen rather than like force it, you know?
That's the last thing you want to do is force something because sometimes that doesn't work out.
No. Let's just have fun.
Yeah, no, I definitely, you see, you know, when you see a skater, sometimes a skater goes through a little metamorphosis. They get like a stylist or they figure out, you know, like they have like an overnight kind of change. Yeah. And sometimes you're like, oh, I kind of like this. And sometimes you're like, oh, buddy, I don't know if you went the right direction. Like you which it's not bad. Everyone's young and they're learning. But sometimes you see it and you're kind of like, I get what you're trying to do. Right. But for your own sake, for your own like mental health and situation, like, maybe just shouldn't try so hard to do this. Like.
It's interesting, man. It's fun. Like, I'm glad I came up at the time I came up, you know?
Same here, dude.
Like, I don't know if I'd want to endure. First of all, everybody's amazing at skateboarding right now.
Totally.
Like, imagine. But there are those standouts, though. You know, you don't get the standouts too often, you know, where you're like, damn. These three people right now are going to be the ones.
Yeah, they check all your boxes. You know, everyone has their own boxes and stuff, but you're like, ooh, this person checks all my boxes. Like this is like for whatever they are. Everyone has. You can't even say what they would be because they're different for everyone. You know, someone might have a box that's like does enough switch tricks. Right. You know, like I don't have that, but someone might be like, oh, they don't. I've heard that from people like, oh, they don't ever skate switch, and I'm like, what? Like, why do you care about that?
Does it matter?
But some people it does, you know, and you're like, oh, okay, well,
that's why Tim Gavin left skateboarding.
That's one of the big reasons why Gavin left skateboarding.
He couldn't keep up with the
skate switch.
He said it though.
He did.
Was it there's an old is it Jeremy Klein interview where he's like something like they asked about switch. He goes, oh, don't skate switch. That's stupid. Like that was just
I could see Jeremy Klein's
like I don't skate switch. That's dumb. And you're like, wow, I guess
that's so fun.
That's amazing.
That's just a part of skateboarding for me. Like, I can't imagine not doing that for some weird reason.
Same.
Like going my whole life without skating switch.
Yeah, but that's you're not like if you were gonna grind you never grinded a giant rail.
No, exactly. But I'm saying like that's ingrained into my skateboarding brain. That switch is just a part of what I think of skateboarding
from the beginning. You
from the
saw
beginning,
it and you were like,
yeah.
I feel like you have like a skateboarding nucleus, right, where it starts, and then from there you have all these directions you can take it. You know, it's like you can progress switch, you can progress down gnarly rails, you can progress on big quarter pipe. Like you take the progression in some way, shape, or form. Some people are like, I'm gonna progress doing wacky shit, you know, or just thinking of goofy stuff to do, and it's like, yeah, your progression took you to switch, whereas like some people are like, I'm gonna go.
Well, you started kind of in that realm, right?
Yeah, I started right in the realm. Yeah, I was watching you guys.
Well, for me, like it wasn't like that, where I'm fucking doing ho-hos in a goddamn circle. You know what I mean? and like shit, like where in Slappies early on, and then we had to adapt to now switch, now pressure flips. Now I got to do pressure flips. Now I got to do switch. Like, so we went through different phases to adapt and maintain this shit.
Yeah.
Whereas you just jumped right in and went right into switch, where there's nothing wrong with. That's when you started. That was when your story started with skateboarding. But like, yeah, someone like myself, like having to go through the trial and errors of like what's popular and what's cool now.
Yeah,
bro. I could totally understood.
So what part of that stood out to you? Like what out of that little like journey? Like what was it that you latched onto the most? Which type of skating? Like, do you like ho-hos and slappies, or were you like once you got to do like
it was
switch
just a
heels,
part
you were
of
like,
it.
fuck this?
It was just a part of it. I think that was like the cool thing. So,
Yeah.
oh, this is cool now. Now we're doing this. Oh, I don't have to do that no more. Cool. You know what I mean?
Were you
Like,
happy that you didn't have to do ho-hos anymore?
No, it was just another extension of like my skateboard story. You know what I mean?
Progression though,
And
too.
progression, yeah. Like we
Yeah.
launch ramps and shit, like putting fucking ramps against walls, and like, dude, there was so many different like levels of this.
Yeah, for sure.
To the point where it's like, okay, I have to adapt. This is it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some people didn't adapt well, like your Gavins. And he put that in his mind though, so he did that to
Totally.
himself.
Oh yeah, he
He
wasn't
said,
even
I can't
trying to do it.
and then didn't do it, so
Right.
you're not gonna do it.
Which Gavin does not need to skate switch. He is just
no.
amazing on the board. How he is on the board.
But he
Yeah.
did. That's the funny thing is, he did do some switch stuff, and he did do it well.
Totally.
He just was his own worst enemy, saying that shit from the beginning. So if you're constantly saying this stuff to yourself,
Yeah.
you're not gonna progress.
Come
Well,
on,
and
man.
I
Tim
feel
Gavin,
bad
bro.
for like these iconic skaters who people just love them for so many things beyond the tricks they do that get too in their head about like, I can't keep up. You know, like I've watched it
Right.
before where they're like, nah, this isn't worth it. Don't shoot this, or I don't want to do this. I can't keep up. And you're like, you know, people just want to see you like do a nose slide, right?
Straight up.
Like,
Yeah.
I know you don't want to be like a hack, and I know you want to like progress, and I get that. So I can respect it if you want to bow out. But from my position, I'm like, you know, I've shot with skaters where they're trying something back in the era. It was like fully flared era. Certain skaters that were like, fuck, dude, I can't do like a backsmith back heel. And I'm like, just do a backsmith. Like,
Right.
it's sick. Like, it'll be a cool photo. And they can't get past that. And it's frustrating because you're just, you know what would look cool, but you're like, I get it. You're just, that's where you want. And then they kind of bow out, you know?
Some of the best skateboarders, Jason Lee
Yeah.
was one of those guys that he quit skating because he just didn't feel like he was worthy and couldn't keep up.
Which is
Totally.
crazy because he probably did just one tray flip a year
Yeah.
for a decade plus,
sure.
and we would all been happy.
Totally.
Everyone
100%.
would have been like, oh, that was sick. His foot slid more than his board. Gavin's an AZ head.
Yeah.
Yes, he
Yeah.
is.
Arizona skate history right here.
I just
Randy Colvin. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
man.
Colvin.
I trip out on how like someone like Steve Caballero had to like just skate transition and go straight. Oh, streets
different, too.
And he
Street-
did.
yeah,
he
he did.
he
A
adapted.
lot of people couldn't.
Him and,
Yeah.
and Lance Mountain.
Yeah.
Straight up.
They were like the
Yeah.
only two.
Yeah.
Not the only two.
Not the
Don't get
only
me
two,
wrong,
yeah.
but like a lot of people couldn't
Yeah.
go from vert to street.
No.
Vert cab, street cab, two different people.
No, yeah. Bob Burnquist, remember he had like a nose grind on a 10 rail in like the
Oh,
Medic
yeah.
Matty era. Like
did.
he did
He
some
was trying
good,
to
you
get
know,
out
he had
there.
some street action.
He did sprinkle some street stuff in there. That's
Dude,
for
but
sure.
Cab's street skating is like a work of art to this day. Like the way that he went about
No
street
doubt.
skating, when he board slides a long rail and he does it like a rock and roll slide, like on a
Yeah,
bolt, like
yes.
he goes fully like straight at it. You're like, no one does that. No one's ever skated a rail of that size like the way he has, and
No.
it's so sick. And this era, like this makes a little more sense to me. But yeah, when you get into this, like when he's
Right.
doing that kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
stuff,
Like later Powell days.
oh my god.
Good
Yeah,
on
like-
him, man. He did it. He kept it going.
Cab
Dude.
6, dude. I remember the cabs. That was like when I started skating. That was like the new Van
Nollie
shoe was the
back
Cab
then.
6. And like it's hilarious to like, if you would have showed me a half cab when I first started skating and had seen the Cab 6, I would have been like, what the fuck is this sock? It looked like a sock. I was like,
Yeah.
you can't wear this thing. Like you need rubber all over a shoe.
Yeah.
I think we found the fire thing. Did we find that, Raj?
Come on,
Let's see,
Raj.
Is this it right here?
Can I have another wings and
Is this
arrow?
it? Yeah, of course.
Wait, I want to see this.
Oh my god, look at that stance.
Who is that?
Look at me.
That's
Oh
you.
my god.
Unbelievable. Look at
I
that
always
hair,
yeah,
man.
I had an accidental mullet. Maybe that's why I hate him so much.
See, listen,
Accidental.
how like we're just like pointing it into shrubbery.
Look,
Or, like, into, like
I'd never done this before. Look, it's like someone's helping me. I'm like, I didn't know. Like, oh,
Oh,
scuba.
there's
like,
scuba. Yeah.
yeah,
You're
that's
like, oh, wait a minute. I started a
there's-
fire over here.
that's an athletic man right there. That's how an athletic man runs.
Oh, see, look at that thing go.
Yeah, you're like, oh, somebody get a fire extinguisher.
It almost looks fake. It looks
Yeah.
fake.
I didn't know what
That's
to do.
insane.
And then these are the 10-year-old firefighters.
There's LD.
Yep. Embarrassed myself in front of a bunch of people I looked up to.
Wow.
There's
It's
Tony
really
Carr.
cool. Yeah, that was Tony Carr's first trip.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right.
It is kind of a little mellow fire, though.
Well, it gets bigger.
It gets
Oh, does it?
big.
Well, big for us there in the moment. It felt really big. Probably like it wasn't like that guy was it. Yeah, it was.
That.
It contained itself though.
Oh,
Shit.
here they come.
It definitely like burnt up more than we expected.
Look at
It
the little
was-
kids with the hose. Unbelievable.
yeah, they let the little kids put it out.
That's
That's
amazing.
funny.
I wish there was a clip of Scuba just walking with the cops and pointing at me.
You got to get that over there right now.
That was a fun. That was like
Look at LD.
there was like the part, you know, in those trips.
Right at the fireworks shop, mind
Yeah.
you.
Well,
Oh
that's-
yeah,
That's amazing.
I think afterwards they were like, "Yeah, you're not supposed to do it outside here."
Yeah.
no fireworks discharge.
Within 500 feet.
What were you saying, Kelly? Sorry.
Oh, that was insane
Oh, wait,
too.
That was Stony Todd Phillips. This is an Oklahoma legend.
Oh, I'm in the back.
Do you remember him, Kelly? We went to his ranch, Outlaw Ranch, and we like shot guns and shit.
I
and,
remember
like,
that. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like a Oklahoma, like, my friend Gabe Friedman had a zine where he interviewed him. Supposedly that dude, Stony Todd, was he was like maybe a porn star, bodybuilder, like fucking anarchist probably. I don't know. He like had this funny like track record of jobs he did.
Bro.
But it was the Oklahomies. They all showed us a good time and let us shoot.
Look at him
guns.
shooting sideways.
Oh, for sure.
Like a gangster.
I have a frame of Eldridge from that where I caught the gun blast.
Oh yeah, that was
like
awesome.
perfectly,
Oh,
and it's
really?
like it makes
Oh,
him
yeah, I
look.
do think I remember that photo.
He looks pretty hard. I don't think he's that hard.
Shooting guns, man, is crazy.
That was wild, dude.
Javier Sarmiento.
Yeah, that was
so good.
Dude, do you remember on that trip the funniest thing he did was he was in the back of the van and he sees a girl board that says Sean on it and he goes, "Oh shit, Sean Sheffy," and he gets so hyped and Javier pulls it out and it's a Malto board and he goes, "Who the fuck is Sheen Malto?" And he was so pissed.
Yo, that dude's one of the funniest, man.
Dude, he was amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
He skated a rail that day. He switch crooked like a 7 rail.
Oh yeah.
And I got to shoot like a handrail photo of Javier Sarmiento, and I was really excited.
He would always, every time he'd get out of the van, he would just immediately switch tray. It didn't like he. That's how he would. It was funny.
I heard he just like plays golf in Spain and just
Yeah.
like
Oh,
fucking like he's
yeah.
chilling.
He
just-
still skates though, and when he skates, he looks.
you see a
amazing.
clip every
Buttery.
couple of years. It's
Yeah.
like unreal,
Definitely.
Yeah.
dude.
He has it.
Who the
he's
fuck
just
is
got it.
Sheen Malto is like my favorite
That's so
fucking
good,
quote
dude.
for and like Sean was like the biggest skater in the world at the
Right.
time, you know, and it was just like he had no clue what was going on at Girl or who Sean was, and he's just like he was so mad that it wasn't a Sean Sheffy board.
Dude.
It was so good.
Dude, this has been incredible, bro.
This has been.
I love
fucking
having you here,
awesome.
dude. Great stories. It's so much fun. We leave this open so you could come back and tell us more.
I will. We can.
We'll do a part 2, part 3, part 4. You
We
know
can
what I'm
get
saying?
into the wildness of all sorts of other chapters.
Yeah, dude. As we wrap this up, though, we'll give you some 9-clip stuff to take home.
Thank you.
With you, Kelly. If you do the honors,
Yeah.
bro.
What size hoodies or anything?
XL.
XL?
Yeah.
We got those, man. I think we got some of those and some Yeti stuff. We'll give you.
Should be something back there.
I got a cooler.
No coolers, man.
we got to do something with the cooler.
We'll do
for
some cooler
soon.
stuff.
Cooler's nice, you know.
What about we no more CCS. You're on your own venture now.
Yeah, so in April, no longer full time with CCS.
Right.
Started like a digital media agency is what they're called in this day and age. And CCS is a client, so I'm working with CCS still regularly. But I started like an agency kind of to run my photo work through, but then also just general creative brand work, that kind of the stuff I did through CCS.
Sick.
And I have a partner that's we're in the process of getting the partnership sorted out. But the goal is to just do, we're doing kind of a lot of like TikTok stuff, a lot of like reels, like video, like just things that are kind of like stuff I learned at CCS, basically, like stuff I learned about doing beyond photography, just that kind of, help grow the brand and things like that.
Are we doing in skateboarding or out of skateboarding or both?
Both, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Our goal, like I want to work in skating as much as possible, but we also I want to do everything at the end of the day. Like I want to shoot everything. I want to work with tons of different brands. There's like, my goal is to work with brands that I like. Like I was joking with my partner. I use Breathe Right strips like at night, like to sleep.
Open the airways.
Yeah, and I was like, I got a whole campaign for Breathe Right, like ready to go. Like anything
amazing.
I use, I'm always just like, oh, well, I have an idea. Because once you use a product, you're like, well, I know how I would talk about it because
Totally.
I use it. So you're like
Straight up.
firsthand. So I think that's something we want to do more of, is just like reach out to brands that are like, I don't know, I like you, I use your shit, and like we should make some stuff. Just marketing in general is fun. Like I think it's fun to just like you get to combine kind of like making shit with like something that makes you money, which is nice.
How do you go about something like this? If you're brand new, do you just make a bunch of stuff, or like how do they know you have no track record yet, right?
For
I mean,
sure.
how do you use CCS as kind of like hey, we kind of did this over here with CCS. Maybe
Yeah.
we could do, how do you do that?
Kind of a blend. I think you take some of the stuff you've done and like lessons you've learned. Like I think if you can show something you did and something you learned from that and why it was successful, I think that's, how you want to go about, reach out to someone and say, hey, I noticed. I think it's really about having it feel organic and be like, oh, you're doing similar, stuff to what this was, or you're trying to talk to these people that we were talking to here or whatever. Like I think it's just playing a game of being like, not just going after like, oh, we're going after Coke because they have the biggest paycheck. It's like, no, like this makes sense and it's in our wheelhouse of what we understand and what we know.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Kelly.
Geared up.
No, please
Thank you.
continue. Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know how it'll go, but our goal is to just like, there's a lot of agencies, a lot of people making stuff like marketing wise out for brands, and I think a lot of them do a great job, and some of them, are just kind of, I don't know, they're not really like going all in. They don't really like maybe necessarily care as much, and I get it. Like it's hard to only work for people that you care about or brands that you're interested in. But at the end of the day, like our goal is definitely to just find, sounds so like, marketing, but find stories to tell. But really that is, it's like, that's how you, like I said, the breathe right. Like my story to tell is like, oh, I slept like shit because I didn't have a breathe right strip on. That's my, I'm like, that's a story. That's everyone's story, right? It's like, it's as simple as that sometimes is like, because that's why do people need this? It's because of this. But yeah, finding spaces to kind of like make things video and photo related content that kind of tells the stories for these brands in the right way, and also just talks to like some younger people that maybe like, dude, you ever talk to a 20-year-old now? Like I feel old. I'm intimidated sometimes, right? Like I go out with younger skaters and like for the first hour I'm just like, oh God, they hate me. Like they don't want, like I don't even know how to talk to them, I'm like,
wet.
There's so much of that. But then like I think about how much other people must feel in that, and I'm like, I actually hang out sometimes with, younger people and kind of like you're in the streets with kids and you're shooting photos and stuff and you're kind of just exposed to this younger generation. So the other goal with the marketing stuff is, I don't know, like, do you want to like not embarrass yourself in front of 22-year-olds? Like maybe we can help you, like
we could help you.
Because that's the name of the game, I think.
I love it, man. Well, congrats on that. Do you want to reveal the name of the company? Because people will be watching this in the future too. Maybe you can get a hold of it.
That's true. No, it's called Kinzer, which is my middle name, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, nice. Kinscr. It's a family name.
That's your middle name.
I have two middle names. Matthew Kyle Kinzer Price.
Matthew Kyle Kinzer.
Is there they couldn't agree, or what happened?
Is there a hyphen in there?
I was supposed to be called Kyle, I guess, and then I looked like a Matthew, so they just threw Kyle in the middle. And
Kinzer was already there.
That's
little baby. They said this is not a Kyle. This is a Matthew.
I was told that I look like a Matthew. That's what the story is, but I don't know.
I love it.
I've never heard.
They already had the name like set in cement. Like, okay, Kyle's the name.
Yeah.
And then they saw you. Like, nope, it's a Matthew.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not a Kyle.
Have you ever seen a newborn baby? They look like a potato, like a blob. And
that's why it's mind blowing.
Yeah, apparently I look like a blobby Matthew instead of a blobby Kyle, and they were like, "All right, that's the name." So I got two middle names. It sounds very regal, when you say it all. But
are you the third or anything?
No.
Okay, because you could have been first. Matthew Kyle Kinzer Price the third.
It would sound really good, wouldn't it?
Right.
Like, the 14th or something.
Just throw that in there, though. You know what I mean?
14th.
That would mean there's a bunch of family money somewhere. if you're that far along in the lineage, but
you could be Sir Matthew Kyle Kinzer Price the third.
I would love that. I could change my name tomorrow.
Sir.
It'd probably be good for business.
Put that in.
I think you have to be
can be
knighted.
Mr. Sir.
I think you have to be knighted to be sir.
Oh, do you?
Someone has to give you that.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't be just saying.
Yeah,
you could be Doctor.
You're born, sir.
Richard Kimball.
Richard Kimball.
Again, someone has to call you a doctor.
Dude, well, listen, Matthew Kyle
Kinzer
Price.
You almost forgot the most important word.
The third.
Price.
No, we appreciate it. First of all, big fan.
Thanks
Always
for
been a big
having me.
fan.
Thank you, guys.
You've been a good friend all these years, and dude, just a big fan of the photography and everything, and much success to everything you have going on with the Kinzer
Thank you.
ad agency. Maybe we could do some TikToks together. You know what I'm
maybe
saying?
we'll make some shit together.
I'm working on my dance routines.
It's not all dancing, Chris.
Oh, it's not?
That's what we'll talk about in our first meeting. I'll put you on. I'll put
Okay.
you on to some.
I do want to see him dance, though.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Chris?
You want to see him do this dance right here?
Switch flip Manny.
So it's a Manny dance.
There he's
love it.
dancing.
Hey.
We should shoot a switch flip Manny sequence
You want to?
on something small.
Okay.
You don't got to
Perfect.
go big again.
Yeah.
You got one
We'll
still?
do a little. Yeah. It wasn't. It wasn't one of my.
Listen.
It wasn't one of my go-to tricks. I'll tell you that.
How are you gonna do it on this? It's not your like.
Well, I mean, listen, we're talking 2003. We're talking about, I mean, we would go out and do one trick one time
That's
and
true.
film it.
Yeah, you
And
built
move
up to
on.
that moment, and then it was like done.
Stance, we did a
Move on.
collab with them.
This
Look
is
at
good.
that.
This is good.
Everybody loves socks.
Everybody loves socks.
Some Stance socks. For
Thank you.
Get him.
1,000. Jerron was on the show when he first I mean, bro, you used 1,000 like 1,000 times on the show.
That was an experience.
It was an
show?
experience
I think it
show.
was,
You
yeah.
filled in for someone.
Yeah, I filled in
I think
for-
maybe Steezus was gone and you filled
think
in
that
for
was
him.
it, yeah.
And I was like, dude, this guy's just
Every-
going 1,000. Like,
Yeah.
1,000.
Then it just turned into something.
And so we made a
I like
sweatshirt
it.
of it. There you go.
It's nice.
What's
It's
that?
subtle.
1,000.
I was almost gonna request. I was like, have Steezus here tonight. I love Steezus.
Oh yeah, he's not too far from here actually.
He's one of my favorites.
Stickers.
Thank you.
Next person you're going to shoot for the cover, make sure you slap one of these on
Sticker
their
'em
board.
up.
If you slap one of these on their board, we'll split it's $20 per cover. So
Okay, that's
10 for
pretty
you,
good.
10 for the writer.
That's pretty good.
Wow.
And also the Switch Flip Manny mug here. Boom.
Thank you. Thank
Put
you.
that in there.
When we
in
used to
the
have I
thing.
had a board company, Brimley, and we used to pay burrito incentive. You get a
Ooh.
burrito for if you had a
God,
photo.
I'm starving right now.
Anywhere.
That sounds so good.
You should have been on
Yeah.
Brimley.
Yeti mug. Look at this. Coffee.
Custom printed.
9 Club logo. Boom. That's good.
This is gonna go. When I go to San Clemente and hang out with my mom, I'm gonna fucking fit right in here because they all have their little Stanley mugs and like my parent, that's their thing.
Okay.
And now I'm gonna like keep my shit warm with them.
That's right.
It was good.
That's right.
Well, thank you
Matthew,
guys.
Kyle, Kinzer, Price. Thank you, dude. It's been an honor,
Yeah.
privilege,
Yeah,
dude.
guys.
Thank
It
you
was
so
fun.
much, dude.
Fun to
Thanks.
talk.
Yeah.
Thank you,
And
man.
you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you. Do people take you up on that?
They do.
Like I'll just
Sometimes.
call you
Yeah.
and be like, "Hey, can I come Monday? I got something to say."
Maybe not so quick.
Yeah.
Maybe not so quick.
Well,
Maybe
not,
wait
no,
some-
not like next Monday, but I mean like a year from now. If I'm like, "Hey, what's going on next Monday?"
Oh
Like, I
yeah.
have
Oh, yeah,
some-
no, people-
yeah,
sure.
for sure.
I'll be like-
100%. I mean, now you're in. You're in. So we,
You're in
if
the
you got
nine
some
club,
stuff
yeah.
going on, we want to talk about some interesting shit. Come on down.
I'm in the
You're
club.
on The Price is Right.
Thank you.